Today is Monday, July 20th, 2015.
Tonight we're going to take on tough subjects like why is the government so involved in starting a war in Ukraine? What are we doing? Why are we training Ukraine soldiers? Our U.S. personnel, we got 60 personnel there, training U.S. or Ukrainian soldiers, and will they be used in our own country as UN peacekeeping forces? There's one former Green Beret that is talking about this, and we'll talk about that tonight. We'll also talk about the possibilities that, of course, our skies are being poisoned with chemtrails. And we don't even just see this as a conspiracy theory. We believe it's a fact. That contrails are not condensation patterns. These are chemtrails. And I've got ample proof to prove that the government or some element in the government is spraying industrial waste, sodium, or actually silver nitrite to create precipitation in the Washington state area, pulling water from California and purposely dehydrating the coastline of California, creating a drought. We'll talk about that tonight. And anything you want to talk about on Conspiracy Monday. All right. We don't allow people to demoralize us because we believe that's part of a conspiracy, that the American people are pretty much demoralizing each other and preventing the political process from working. Trolls are continuing to attack our show, which shows that this is a rising political phenomenon, which verifies what we've thought all along, that the American people really are resonating a third part on camera. We said, well, she'll be alive for about a month and a half. And sure enough, she died a month and a half later of conflict, which her daughter is now lying to the American people. I don't like liars. And it's not that I don't like African Americans. I think it's great that we've had an African American president. I think it's awesome. But is he really representative of African Americans? Is he one of them? Or is this guy a hand-picked puppet for the CIA? Has he turned his back on the American people with lie after lie, leading our nation to a very tough situation worldwide?
Oh, so I was just reading a little bit about the Chattanooga tragedy, and fortunately 6 states have decided to turn their recruiting facilities into allowing the people that are recruiters to carry guns into those places. Those before were considered gun-free zones, which in my opinion, any gun-free zone creates a sitting duck situation, and I just want to...
We should all vote for cap and trade, which, you know, we are against. We don't support a monopoly game to try to pretend like it's going to get rid of greenhouse emissions when it's just never been proven. In fact, it's been abused already worldwide in Copenhagen. But the reality is, if Democrats want a reason to frame this election, it's going to be about global climate change. And you already see them starting to talk about the dangerous the terrible drought in California and how we need to do something about global climate change. So what's happening is we're seeing an aggressive breakdown in the air above California, which is attributed directly to chemtrails. And we've seen the chemtrails in our skies in the Pacific Northwest, and we've had the wettest year ever. Every year is like a record-breaking year for Washington State, and California has never been drier. And when they do get rain, it's a massive flood, and it causes serious erosion to the soil. So essentially, the strongest economy in the world, California, it's the 8th largest economy in the world, is destined to become a disaster, which will weaken this nation. So yeah, there's a vested interest. And when we found out that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are actually investing heavily in California water rights in Sonoma County, they have a vested interest in dehydrating the area to make more money on water rights. So this is a very shrewd plan to continue their powerful reign over all of us and taxing and fleecing the American people to the point where they literally want to depopulate this country. The rich people don't need us anymore. We can all be replaced with robots. You realize that? Technology is screaming at an alarming rate, and robots will be online, and robocops will be online within the next 10 years. So the elites are probably saying, hey, what do we need these useless eaters for? Let's just start depopulating everyone. And that's the thing that we're going to talk about that's probably the most nefarious conspiracy of all.
Well, Conspiracy Monday would not be complete without a discussion of extraterrestrial life. And just in the news today, the search for extraterrestrial life just got a $100 million boost. It was funded by a Silicon Valley tycoon who's going to increase the satellite capability to search for extraterrestrial life.
Oh, wow. So he's got a lot of money, and he really wants to spend that money, apparently. Okay, a new front in the War of Islam.
That's not the picture of the person. There you go.
Okay. In 1959, a young astronomer called Frank Drake took a job at the Green Bank Radio Observatory in Virginia. Thinking about the capabilities of a 26-meter dish under construction there, Dr. Drake realized that if we were to use it to transmit radio waves rather than to receive them, it would produce a signal which is similar to a telescope around stars would be able to pick them up. For the first time, humans had a technology for communicating with other solar systems. I wonder if Dr. Drake was the guy who came up with the Drake equation, which proves that there is life in the universe besides on Earth. The Drake equation is a mathematical formula that factors in an exponential infinity number into the equation, which automatically guarantees that there is some form of life somewhere in the infinite universe. I don't think that really helps any of you, though. I've never seen an alien. I've never met an alien. I met a guy who claimed to be an alien, but you know, you meet these guys in coffee shops at Denny's at 3 in the morning. It's like, oh yeah, how you doing? Oh, pretty good, man. I'm just an alien. Well, you're from another country? No, man, I'm from Mars. You know, you're always going to meet these kind of people, but I don't believe that they're really aliens. Life is short. Have fun. There you go. Somebody's saying, David, you don't have any eyebrows. My eyebrows are the same color as my hair, so it's kind of hard for people to see my eyebrows. Currently, we cannot transfer.
Shrek asked a question.
Sure.
Simple yes or no. Do you feel the shooting in Tennessee was a false flag?
I'm going to say no. I believe that it was MK Ultra.
I'm going to say no. I believe it was a terrorist who traveled to both Qatar and another country in the Middle East. And even though he was living in the U.S., I believe that he had some issues with the U.S. military in specific. And I personally believe that the entire discussion of Jade Helm on the internet helped to instigate this attack.
Well, you can say, how is MK Ultra not a false flag? Well, at this point, it's kind of a shot in the dark. They can train a lot of assassins to run around killing people. And when 4 U.S. Marines die and our president doesn't even fly the flag at half staff, and people in local community governments don't fly the flag at half staff, you got to wonder what the hell's going on. 4 Marines die and you fly the flag at half staff. So there's a lot.
Do you need a haircut? No, you do not need a haircut.
Well, Sarah, if you want to take a break at any time during the show, feel free. I'm going to pound through this entire show with unbelievable attacks from trolls.
You might want to go get some more
I'm
coffee
set.
Before I take a break.
Now's a good time.
Okay.
If you want to, come back and,
I need to go get my first sleep.
You haven't really had any breaks since we got back from the buffet, and we've been digesting this great food, so it's up to you. Sarah and I had a great day. We drove around, and we just rushed in here and started the show at 5 o'clock. She started playing Assault Horizon, flying an F-16, which, by the way, has proven to be better than the F-35 in 2 critical flight tests recently, showing that the F-35 is basically what we've always thought it was, a scrap of metal, costing $3,000 a day just to fly. Maybe even more, maybe even $10,000 a day. Okay. Go ahead, what's your question? Well, I support the rights of LGBTs to have marriage in any area of the country they want. I just don't believe that marriage should be part of the government. I think the government should get the hell out of marriage. I don't even know why the government's involved in marriage. Could you explain to me why the government's involved in marriage?
I can't. I don't understand why the government, I need to be governed on how I love.
Exactly.
That's bullshit.
I agree.
Sorry, bad language.
No, feel free. I mean, that's nothing compared to what many people say. But yeah, you should be able to marry your partner, male, female, transgender, whatever. It shouldn't even be a government issue. And I believe the Supreme Court is wrong in even ruling on this case. And it's almost like they're passing legislation here. I think we could just as easily just pull the government out of marriage completely And it would save a lot of you a lot of money on life insurance, because a lot of your life insurance rates are going to go up because it's an expanded number of people now who are going to collect. So anybody with life insurance, plan on paying a higher premium once the actuarial department get on this and realize that, wow, we've got another 6% of the population added to the list of people we're going to have to pay out on. So you're going to see major changes because of the ineptitude of the Supreme Court. It's just a question of time. Sorry that that happened, guys, but hey, I'm glad that you can get married in the state of your choice. So at least you got something going on there, you know.
I know. I was very happy when that happened. I asked my boyfriend. I cried.
Wow. Well, there you go. You guys can be yourselves.
Actually, we went and got married that day. I was very, very happy.
Well, cool. But now you got the government breathing down your neck. That's the problem. But thank you.
Yeah, I do. And we didn't know all that stuff when we first got married. We were just, a happy young couple. And then we get married and realize all this shit. And then now it's, we feel fucked over by the government more than we fuck each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I really don't know what you're saying because I don't have sex with men, but whatever. Hey, thanks for the call.
You gotta try anything once. I mean, all I'm saying is I feel like the government is just...
You saying you have to try everything once if you're a heterosexual? I mean, why? Explain, why would I need to do that?
Excuse me, my boyfriend is bisexual. There is a difference.
Okay.
You need to back up. I thought you were for transgender otherkin in the furry community. But if you're not a brony like the rest of us, don't be getting up in our face like that.
Yeah, I'm not a size queen, you know. I'm not into that whole gay thing that you guys are into.
What's wrong with what we're into?
I never said there was something wrong. I just said I'm not into it. Why can't I have my own viewpoint? You know, people are denying me my heterosexual viewpoint. It's so funny. I mean, if you want to have a bromance, go right ahead. But, I mean, you're denying me the right to believe in my own viewpoint now? I mean, not only do you want everyone to say, oh, it's okay for you to have butt sex, whatever. All right. I was being trolled, I know. But, honestly, I don't mind whatever people want to do as long as they're consenting adults and they're not, having relations with children or their own brothers and sisters. I'm a little concerned about that. All right. You can say homosexuality is a sin. It's not bad. It's called freedom of speech. Say whatever you want. But in New Jersey and California, you will be arrested if you try to convert a person from homosexuality to heterosexuality. Yes. All right. Well, I pulled off slow on. I went slow off so you guys can have more instantaneous chat. And I will get guest chat back up and running as soon as we can. Thank you. Well, all right. Hey, I want people to be free, period. I don't care how we define freedom as long as they're free. I don't want the government sticking RFID chips in my body and telling me that I have to have a vaccine like the communist Jerry Brown just did in California. He told everyone who's going to get their kids educated, they have to vaccinate their kids with a full battery of vaccinations. And many people are believing that there's deaths going on around the country. People that are against the vaccinations. Hello, what can I do for you? Thanks. Yeah, what's your question?
Sorry about that. I got a house full of people.
Yeah.
Anyway, you said something about children. Why can't we love our children?
Wow. We're not going to go down that road. That's called absolute pedophilia, and we don't in any way think you people should be allowed to walk the streets. We think you need to be arrested. In fact, I support a 3-strike law against pedophiles, molesters, rapists. Anyone who commits 3 strikes would be automatically sentenced to death. That includes people in prison. So if Bubba is your fear when you go to prison, Bubba will be executed. He won't be around to attack you in his cell. So that's something a lot of you are concerned about, I know. But that's something only a president can do at a federal level. I can't alter the state laws. The CIA are trying to turn us into sausage jockeys. It's that crap they're squirting out of the airplanes. Good point. Where is Hubbard? If they're not squirting it out of the airplanes from chemtrails, which I agree with you, that's probably affecting our mind. They're probably putting it in our beef byproducts. I mean, we know that hormones are injected in the beef all the time, so God knows how many hormones are trickling into our population, forcing kids to have, relations at the age of 12. You know, it was a really scary statistic that I heard, 10 years ago, that young people were all engaged in premarital sex. Except, you know, when I say all, I mean 25% of them were actually doing that. And that's really kind of scary that people are, you know, taking risks at such a young age, destroying their innocence. All right, we're supposed to talk about conspiracies, but you don't have to. It's okay. If you want to talk about the conspiracy of the two-party system against a third party, I'd love you to talk about that. You know, that's been going on a long time. Like I said, we're getting a violation of the 14th Amendment every year when we run for election here. We're facing a myriad of different laws in every state, which is clearly a violation of the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law. So we want all of you to do everything you can to promote a third party. So that means join us on Twitter @thirdparty. You can post America's Third Party online. Just write that in a blog form. If you miss and go America Third Party, it'll work. We also have American Third Party. America's Third Party, AmericanThirdParty.com, and AmericaThirdParty.com. And we also have and own AmericasThirdParty.net and .org. All right. Thank you. I think that Jesse Ventura has been manipulated, and I'm very suspicious of what happened with the lawsuit for defamation of character against the American Sniper, the person who the American Sniper was about, Chris Kyle. I think that was a very strange lawsuit that settled on behalf of Jesse Ventura, and then he died. So I'm beginning to wonder exactly how much of Jesse Ventura is authentic and how much is paid for. But I really, you know, don't dislike what he's concerned about. I think he and I could have a very head-to-head conversation. I'd say, so Jesse, what do you think about these conspiracies? Well, clearly these conspiracies are causing... You know, I can't even do a Jesse Ventura because my voice gets into a weird mode. But, you know, he's trying in his own way. Well, the death penalty is something I believe will be a deterrent against hardened criminals performing heinous acts against innocent people. Many people who are prosecuted for murder and given the death penalty actually say thank you. Please exterminate them. They want to be exterminated. The guy and the two guys that ended up raping and killing Dr. Pettit's wife and two daughters in Connecticut, they got the death penalty, and one of them said that they wanted to die. And then Governor Malloy went ahead and completely revoked and repealed the death penalty in Connecticut. So they're going to serve life imprisonment. 3 hots and a cot and internet access and, you know, plenty of dental care. Yeah, Chris Kyle can't defend himself. He's 6 feet underground, so it's kind of a slam dunk case that Jesse Ventura had against him. The two-party system is completely one party. They're both co-opted and owned by the same donors. The same donations come from the same people. Yeah, Jade Helmet was a psyops. I said it from the beginning. No, it's just a psyops. They're testing out the waters to see how far the American people can be pushed. I believe that even Edward Snowden was a paid informant. I believe that he received the sanction by our government to release information critical to you knowing that the NSA is watching you. They couldn't just say, hey, the NSA is watching you. They needed somebody to say it. So he got out. That's why no one took care of Edward Snowden and executed him in Moscow. And you notice our country isn't too interested in pursuing espionage charges against Edward Snowden. It's kind of like a non-issue now. And they're even going to give Manning, Private Bradley Manning, who's now Chelsea Manning, he's going to get a sex change operation. So I'm beginning to wonder about him too. Our crisis has turned the gold price down. Malaka, hello, welcome. Well, actually, the gold prices and the silver market is completely manipulated. What is a psyops? Jade Helm 15 wants to know. It's to test the waters and see how screwed up the country is and see how many people are potentially violent. So they're trying to push you to the nth degree to see what you're going to do. And if anything, Jade Helm is an effort to trigger a response within our culture. And I don't think you need to overreact, but I am concerned, for sure. I'm beginning to believe that our government is siding with the UN and basically getting everything ready. All the ducks are in line to use the UN against American people. So instead of an attack on our shores, what I'm concerned about is it's an assimilation. That they're trying to assimilate our country, move right in and kind of take over, kind of like Katrina when everyone wanted to defend their houses against looters. The National Guard moved in and started taking everyone's guns away, violating their Second Amendment. Yet nobody actually talked about it. Mainstream is doing some fun headline stuff. Breaking: Sponheim says Snowden was an inside man. That's good. Now all you have to do is Twitter it and add at third party, and you'll be helping us. Thank you. Yeah, and the U.S. is siding with NATO to scare its own people. Yeah, that's right, Spaz Nation. Good point. So I think a lot of us are starting to understand the underbelly of corruption in our country. Ever since John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and don't tell me that Lee Harvey Oswald was the sole lone gunman. I don't believe that. Not a lot of people believe that. Even John Kerry, our Secretary of State, doesn't believe it. I have an interview with John Kerry where he actually talks about believing that JFK was assassinated by somebody other than or in addition to.
Theory and all of that. But I have serious questions about whether they got to the bottom of Lee Harvey Oswald's time and influence from Cuba and Russia.
All right, so, and what he's saying there is John Kerry is saying Lee Harvey Oswald, his time in Cuba and Russia were actually part of his operation as a CIA agent. You see, Lee Harvey Oswald worked as a CIA agent for 4 years. He was involved in Operation Monarch, designed to kill Fidel Castro. He was working with a woman who was creating a genetic mix of dangerous viruses that would have killed Fidel Castro. And it didn't work. It was not a successful op, so they brought him back and made a patsy out of him. And Lee Harvey Oswald said he was a patsy. That's about the only thing he could say before he was killed by another MK Ultra victim, a guy named Jack Ruby. So the whole thing is a complete cover-up upon a cover-up, and this is the exact thing that we've been seeing time and time again. Fast forward to Benghazi, and you see that Hillary Clinton has completely swept the carpet clean of her actions in Benghazi and around Benghazi. So everyone who looks at this problem has a huge problem to analyze, and that is, if we've got such a corrupt government, how the hell are we going to ever make this better? Well, the answer is a third party. And I have too many W's in my WW there. Hang on. There we go. The answer is a third party to make these people accountable. We can't just do it by talking about it and pretending like Hillary's going to change anything. Hillary is the problem. She's part of the problem. Obama is the problem. He's part of the problem. He's wasted 7 going on 8 years. George W. Bush wasted 8 years, started 2 wars. And even Jeb Bush talks about, who would you turn to for foreign policy, Jeb? Well, he turned to his brother. And then asked, well, would you have started the Iraq and Afghanistan war? He said, oh, no, I wouldn't have. So Jeb Bush is contradicting himself the next day when answering questions about his involvement in foreign policy and his brother's involvement. I mean, the guy's all over the place. Jeb Bush endorses the NSA's oversight of every one of our domestic transactions. He actually encourages it. So a vote for Jeb is a vote for the NSA. A vote for Hillary is a vote for the NSA. And worse than that, RFID chipping. Let me show you a quote that Hillary is known for. It's kind of disturbing. Many of you may not realize this, but Hillary really wants us to be RFID chipped. She's gone on record talking about it. Listen to this statement. Hang on, that was the wrong statement. I know. Brain chips. Look at that. And she says, at the rate that technology is advancing, people will be implanting chips in our children to advertise directly into their brains and tell them what kind of products to buy. That's not an approbation. That's an approval. She wants that to happen. Anyone who says that, RFID chips are good, maybe they want to LoJack their kid, but don't force that on us, please. Someone was screaming their lungs out because they don't want the Bush Clintons being in power again. Did you tell them about our third party? No, the pipeline plan is above ground. Poonswoggle. The ocean pipeline plan will be an above ground operation, nothing underground. Believe me, I'm completely above board about everything, including our ideas to help California's water crisis. Our ocean pipeline project is available. You can check it out at oceanpipeline.com. But basically, in a nutshell, if you haven't heard about it, it's a simple plan, really, which uses completely natural means to desalinate water. The sun bakes in each one of these modules, and they're very small, they're portable. We can actually plug them in and hook them up. Within 6 months, I could have an entire pipeline between LA and San Francisco. And they will desalinate 250,000 gallons of fresh water a day. What happens is the seawater in the middle evaporates on the inside of the dome, and dewdrops of pure water trickle down into these reservoirs, and we store them in receptacles for farmers and potable drinking uses, etc. Very, very modern yet simple plan that could very well be deployed and make a permanent solution to our water crisis. And that's something I'm sure the Rothschilds wouldn't want to do, because they want to monetize everything. They want to make money on everything. It's all above ground. That's right. I can't desalinate water underground. Okay, Mad Dog. Let's see what we got here. Audio's still bad. Ron Helix does not like the audio. Wow. Okay. I'll work on it, Ron. I've been getting people to tell me that the audio is fine, but now you're telling me it's bad. Okay, you got an article from Breitbart? Okay, let's see. A black Confederate flag supporter dies in a crash after the SUV is run off the road. Wow. This is from PJ Media. Mad Dog brought this in. A lot of people don't understand that the Confederate flag is part of American history, and you have every right to post it if you want. It's called freedom of speech. It protects you. Wow. Well, unfortunately, that entire site will not pop up for me. But I got the story. They recreated Lee Harvey Oswald after he shot JFK, and it's impossible for him to go to the depository theater in the amount of time they found him. Plus, the guy at the ticket booth said he didn't sell any tickets after the time they said they found him. Wow. Yeah, exactly, Jane Helm 15. Good point. It doesn't seem like Lee Harvey Oswald was the shooter. It looks like there were about 8 different mob groups, assassins, at the site of JFK's assassination. And it looks like there was an inside job going on. Now, we do know that George H.W. Bush was connected to the CIA at the time, even though he denied it. He later became director of the CIA under Nixon. Okay, well, thank you, Ron. I'm going to still try to work on the audio. I appreciate it. But we know that George H.W. Bush, our former president, the guy who said, 1,000 points of light, a new world order. Basically, he is the kingpin in the entire transaction we know as the killing of John F. Kennedy. And I believe that that's going to come out eventually. All right. Scissor Fight says it's time for Sponheim. Thank you very much, Scissor Fight. That's great. Wow. That was good. Thank you. That was nice. I'll put that in my little promo area. Thank you for that. Great quality video. Yeah, audio's fine. Thanks, Paleface. Good to know. That was good.
Welcome to the Next News Network. I'm Gary Franchi, joining you now for the special web edition. Is World Bank whistleblower Karen Huda. She's one of many of.
All right. Karen Hudas is getting a lot of flack. She's a person who has been outright very outspoken about the World Bank and their attempt to hide the gold that they got from Germany and Japan. Not a lot of people ask those big questions, and that's perhaps at the very heart of conspiracy theory, is what happened to the gold? Now, Karen Hudas is a former World Bank attorney. 20 years she served for the World Bank, and in 2007 she was fired because she accused them of hiding the gold. All right? Our government never asked where the gold is. The gold prices are dropping artificially because the gold and silver markets, by and large, have been controlled by COMEX, the New York Mercantile. And they buy paper silver and paper gold. And because they don't necessarily have to show the actual bullion to prove they've got that gold, that silver, they're able to manipulate the market in this margin land where they buy on credit and pretend like they have gold and silver and they could buy and sell. There's no real gold or silver to back that. So they're able to artificially keep the price of gold down. And right now they're purposely keeping the gold down because they don't want people to hedge against the market. They want people to continue to believe in the market. It only clips when I talk loud? Okay. Well, maybe that's a good call because I don't really need to talk loud. Yeah. I got limiters on it, but we'll try to keep it at a low. It's a good lesson to me to not talk loud. Because as you know, I've got a pretty good mic voice and I can talk at any level. And I can even talk like Henry Kissinger. Okay. You're going to calm me down, Ashley? Okay. Well, I'm looking for a better mic because in the past I've never had problems with my mic. I can be, elevating and it'll pick up. But now it's getting a little old, so it's starting to break down at the upper levels. That's really what's going on. Okay. Great work. You too, Scissor. You're talking about the XML file, access denied? Okay. Thank you. All right, so we asked the big questions about conspiracies. One of the biggest questions of all is, why are we fighting wars? Why has our country been put out there and started all kinds of wars? And for what reason? Well, Wesley Clark, former presidential candidate and general, actually made it all very clear. And I think all of you really need to start your Conspiracy Monday show out with this little primer from Wesley Clark. This is the reason. I'll explain it to you.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." the truth is about the Middle East is, had there been no oil there, it would be like Africa. Nobody is threatening to intervene in Africa. The problem is the opposite. We keep asking for people to intervene and stop it. And there's no question that the presence of petroleum throughout the region has sparked great power involvement. The specific motivation for the coup or not, I can't tell you, but there's always been this attitude that somehow we could intervene and use force in the region.
All right, that pretty much sums it up. And we've been protecting our petrodollar. The U.S. is protecting the petrodollar. And the petrodollar is something that happened right around 1971 when Nixon did the Nixon shock, in which Richard Nixon, my fellow Americans, I want to make this perfectly clear. I am not a crook. He became the instrument for ending the Bretton Woods Agreement, which we had with 45 other countries, pulling gold as the backing for our dollar off the table completely, and adding the petrodollar as the basis for our currency. So we have been protecting our petrodollar, essentially, and that's why we continue to see war in that region. The only way to get off the petrodollar is to become more productive and have better exports coming out of this country. Not out of Singapore, but out of this country. Yeah, we're not going to take calls from that same call number because you guys have already violated your chance to call us. Okay, here comes guest chat, everybody. We're going to start up and get going here with all kinds of new input. All right. You know that when people troll us as hard as they do, we got something going for us, which is nice. I'm glad that the aware and enlightened people are coming in here and talking, because you guys make it all worthwhile for us. Thank you so much. Get what for you? Canada was subject to an invasion control, World War II. I didn't realize that. They were going to invade Canada? No kidding. Monsanto is the biggest GMO company. Yeah, like I said, I'm not taking your call because we know who you are. So don't call here again. Here comes that rain again. So when we ask big questions about why our government has been behaving this way since John F. Kennedy was killed, it's because they didn't like what he was doing. He signed Executive Order 111110 into existence, which ended up creating a silverback dollar, circumventing the power of the Federal Reserve, a private corporation which is monitoring and creating a central bank, controlling our currency. They're the ones that print your debt notes. Thank you. Megyn Kelly's looking good tonight. Good. Well, she always looks good. Monsanto is the Hegelian dialectic, yeah. They're creating a product called Roundup in combination with Dow, and then genetically modifying organisms and charging farmers who don't even buy their seeds for their seeds because they're crossbreeding with their seeds because the wind blows and the seeds cross-migrate. And scientists are finding that these GMOs are triggering the growth of tumors. So they apparently want to kill us all off with tumors and charge us to the point where we lose our house trying to save ourselves from cancer. Now, Kennedy basically was the last great president. Now, if you think Ronald Reagan was, that's fine. But Kennedy was in the thick of it, and he really did understand the severity of having a Federal Reserve and having them print money recklessly, doing whatever they want. So he kind of undermined their authority. Other people believe that Kennedy may have been finding out about Israel's nuclear program and was trying to find out if that really was happening, and that may have got him killed. Many people believe it was Bobby Kennedy's anger toward the mob that got him killed. So there's a lot of reasons why this whole thing turned into 2 executions or assassinations of some of the finest political leaders we've ever had. But the real reason is the mob controls your country now. Okay? And they have ever since John F. Kennedy died. Even Richard Nixon was solicited because he actually applied for a contest to see who is the most viable political candidate. People don't realize, but we've got a lot of cronies in our country. You know Gerald Ford? The reason why he was a president, he wasn't elected. He was selected to replace Richard Nixon when Richard Nixon resigned, but the reason why he was selected is because he was the guy, the congressman, that shut the case on JFK completely down. The Warren Commission report was investigating JFK, and the signature that shut that case down was Gerald Ford's signature. Got him the entire job of president. So it's all about payback. Follow the money. All right. Hello, Molokai. No, they do not control me, and that's why I'm running for president. I'm not controllable. I'm not buyable. I'm not materialistic. If I died tomorrow with limited amount of savings or whatever, I don't care. I've already done what I had to do, is to inform and awaken the American people on a nightly basis. I'm already fulfilling my goal just talking to you right now. My greater goals, of course, are to help this country and make us a much more environmentally safe nation and help boost our economy and give people more opportunity. I have a very populist bend in my mind politically. I really want everyone to be a participant in this process. I'm not a hard right-wing neocon. I'm not an extreme left-wing commie. I think Hillary is. I think Jeb Bush is a neocon. I think we need something in the middle, a centrist, which is willing to find and negotiate solutions with both sides of the political spectrum. And I think I'm the guy to do that. I don't believe you met JFK in 1962. Yeah, you're not old enough. I got 4,200 plus votes the last time I ran in Washington State last year. And while I was running for state representative, 90% of my signs were stolen. I would be putting up signs every day, and literally the next day they would be ripped down. The Democrats and Republicans want to cheat, lie, and steal in order to retain control over this country. And the last thing they want is a guy who's willing to unhinge themselves from their political power groups and build a third party. So I am literally hated by the Democrats. I got Patty Murray saying bad things about me all over the place. She's actually spreading the word about me to Congress right now as we speak. There are people out there that think I'm some sort of a threat to their political party. I'm not a threat to their political party. I'm a chance to find a common ground between the two parties. You know, I did not debate in the last election because I didn't feel I was getting a fair shake. I didn't feel like the media, the foreign press was treating me right. The Democratic Party used the foreign press to vilify my character, calling me names without me having a chance to respond. I don't even think they published my rebuttal in the newspaper. That's how controlled this is. Look, I would rent a billboard if I could afford $500 a month to rent a billboard. But honestly, with the donations we've received, we're lucky to get cable TV spots for $5. So if you really want to get behind me, there is a campaign going on my website, America's Third Party, and at davidsponheim.com to get me enough money to get some serious cable TV spots, to bypass the mainstream media. And I've done this in 2 elections already, and it does immediately translate into a spike in hits on our website, big time. 15,000 hits a day we get just from advertising on cable. But you can get a bumper sticker for $4 on our website. And you can also GoFundMe and get me going on my plan to get enough money to get into cable TV for the 2015-2016 cycle. You believe that silver is going down to $10 or $11? That's interesting. Could be. I believe it's been controlled. There are no fake sounds coming from the show. You know, I'm not going to take you on a trip down reptilian lane tonight. I support a flat fair tax of 10% on income over 100,000. This is nothing like Rand Paul's 7-7 plan. This is a graduated flat tax of 10% on income over 100,000. It's designed to give the middle class a total chance to recover and still fairly tax people in the upper tax bracket. But again, if we can't get this past Congress, I'm still willing to go with the progressive tax code. I just want to see most of the tax deductions and tax credits eliminated, especially the corporate ones. But I think the flat tax is a good idea, yeah. A fair flat tax is 10% on all non-food items. Well, if they're bored, they're certainly not going to be bored when I'm president, because their ass is mine. I will do everything I can to limit the power of elitists in our nation. And how they control our government is through secret, arcane groups like the Bilderberg Group and the Bohemian Grove Society. No, I am not gay, and I resent that you even asked me questions like that. What difference does it make what a person's sexuality is? Hey, go ahead. What's your question?
It's Sponheim.
Time's up. Okay, write your question down and deliver it as soon as I ask you what your question is. Don't go, Well, it has a bad reputation for a good reason. Yeah. People meeting secretly behind closed doors, making deals. It's been going on for a long time, and it's wrong. It's a violation of the Logan Act. Now, I would gladly show you pictures of people, you know, who've been involved in these types of secret societies. But I can tell you that they didn't like it at all. Look at Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon at the Bohemian Grove. Okay, we got another question. Go ahead.
What about fiscal drops?
Remote fiscal drops? What? What?
Yes.
What are you saying?
Repeat it to him.
Repeat it to
Hear
me.
you say it loud.
Say it louder. I'm waiting. All right, you're going to have to work on your question. Write it down. I know it's hard to read where you're writing. I know it's hard to write, too, if you don't know how to write. Try to write it down phonetically and spell it and use your words next time you call. Now, we would never do anything like that. I'm dedicated to nonviolence. I would never do anything bad. I know, yes, the show is monitored by the Democrats and Republicans. They hate me. We know that. They think I'm a potential threat because I'm so electable. No, I was never a contestant on American Idol, and I have no professional training whatsoever. Kind of like William Hung. Remember that guy? I love you, man. Thank you. I remember William Hung. This is his original appearance on American Idol.
And I'm currently studying at UC Berkeley right now. But it's kind of odd, like why I chose to even audition in the first place, because my major is civil engineering, which is totally not related to music. But I really like music. I
think I should get him a job. Go ahead. What's your question? Are you William Hung, or what do you want to talk about? Hello.
I think what happened to Greece in the coming days or weeks or so.
What kind of immigration are you talking about?
The economic collapse in Greece.
Oh yeah, that's to be expected. You know, they've been borrowing money for 6 years now and not paying it back. So
right.
Why would that not be an economic collapse? I mean, they're going to have to find fiscal austerity.
Into the mix?
I believe that the EU is collapsing, and I believe the New World Order will collapse as well. So I think it's a good thing that Greece is pulling away. It's great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. It's a good measure of fiscal austerity to see a country finally recognize they've got corruption. We need to do that here. You see, these two men, Richard Nixon, actually said that they were all a bunch of fags. He used the word fags about the Bohemian Grove Society. And you can see Ronald Reagan's going, well, I'm not really sure I understand why you're here or why we're doing this satanic mass with the owl. And, you can only imagine how upset he was. But these guys were kind of caught in the mix. They didn't realize how controlled the political system was. Real Man's Pawns would be a good guy. Yeah, enough with the impressions. Let's not talk about impressions. Let's just ban you instead. Okay, thank you. No, I believe we've already got a gay president. Right now, Barack Obama is gay. You really think that he's not gay? He already had relations with 3 men that are dead now. Here, I'm going to show you 3 boyfriends of Barack Obama when he was at the Trinity United Church in Chicago. Nate Spencer, Larry Bland, and Donald Young were all Barack Obama's homosexual butt buddies. All right? Look it up. All right? Just look it up. And they're all dead. They all died in 2007, right before Barack Obama became president. Isn't that convenient? Yeah. All of them had mysterious deaths, too. Donald Young was the most mysterious. He was shot to death. Okay. No. Your CIA source is wrong. I've never been a secret society member. That's right. I just showed you the names of 3 men that died mysterious deaths, and you never even heard about them, right? You never even heard about Donald Young. He's perhaps the most notorious. He actually had his mother said this: "Mom fears son was slain to protect secrets of pal who became president." And I must tell you, she was never going to say another thing. That was it. That's all she got to say, because they told her to not say anything. I know nothing. That was too much. She was a former bookkeeper at the Chicago PD. Yeah. Nope, that's not me. I've never done pornography. I would never take my clothes off in front of camera. I'm a very private person. I even make sure that there are no unmanned aerial vehicles flying over my swim spot whenever I swim. I'm very careful. You see, they could fly anything. You know, it's just disguised to limit the possibility of unmanned aerial vehicles surveying our society is very real. People like Rand Paul support unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, surveying the population. They've done a lot of things to do that. I can cite examples of drones. Would you like to see a drone? Eeny, meeny, miny drone. Here's a drone. That can take a full video picture of you and your family, invading your privacy, and basically Rand Paul supports that. He supports your privacy being completely destroyed. And so does Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. I believe that Michelle Obama is transgender. I believe that the transgender part is probably not complete. She hasn't gone for the full transgender reassignment surgery. But I would be willing to bet hard money, big time, on that fact. There's nothing paranoid about this, no. You'd be paranoid if this was flying in your bathroom, wouldn't you? What if this thing was laying under your toilet bowl and looking at you? Now, I've never taken pictures of anything. I never took down a video declaring Michelle Obama as a tranny. Well, I think she could go toward female or male, depending on her choice. It's not slander, no, they're public figures. You can't slander a public figure once they've reached the status that Michelle Obama has with her 26 servants and her $2 billion expense account for travel. Why do you act so damn superior to your potential voters? I mean, that's your genius, you're just poor working schmucks, whatever happened to Carly Flynn, right? Well, it wasn't, yeah, the deal was Carly, I'll tell you what happened to her, thank you. Carly decided that she didn't like the show because I gave Hoppy the chance to defend himself. And my mistake was allowing Hoppy, the known liar who said he was a Navy, a U.S. Army airborne guy and an NSA agent, to come on the show to defend himself. And she was so upset that I gave him the chance to defend himself that she left the party completely. At this point, I'm not a public figure in the sense that Michelle Obama is. She has 26 servants, yeah. And you've been paying for that. Look, if you can't recognize you made a mistake voting for Barack Obama, I feel sorry for you. Let me tell you what I'm going to do for college students. Now, right now, if you're unable to make minimum amounts of money to go to college, and your parents don't want to pay for your college education, even though the government says they should, I'm going to make it so you could get independent status at the age of 21. This is one of the things that really upsets me, because I had to wait till I was 25 to get independent status, just so I could get a little bit of scholarship money. And the year that in 1985, when I turned 25, because I'm 55 right now, I actually asked my mother, I said, Mom, I'm going to declare independent status. The day I said that, she said, oh, well, you can't. I just declared you on my income tax. Because I had gone home at the time and spent half the year taking care of my dying father who had a heart attack. He ended up living many years later because I took care of him. But she literally destroyed my opportunity to become an independent financial person and then get money at that point. So I want to make it so that 21-year-olds get money like Pell Grants, and I'm going to double the size Pell Grants for all the nation. This is going to bypass the affirmative action issue completely. The mic is running fine. It's just clipping a little bit. I know my viewer count is all messed up. It's been messed up ever since the NSA took charge of our show. We still run our show. We have total control over it, but they're running the back end of it. Well, it's up to you if you want to get me on the ballot in 50 states. You can also write my name in, David Sponheim. That's certainly possible. Do you know how to write? Are you able to actually write? Can you use a pen? Do you have the physical ability to use your pen? Well, you could just write my name in, David Sponheim. That would work too. Well, I've been working around the clock to build a political message that will resonate among the American people. So I'm doing my best. If you can't do your best by writing my name in, then go ahead and suck up to the two-party system and watch it screw you over every single day. Tell me if you're going to take fluoride out of the water. I'm going to take fluoride out of the water, be frank. It's a sensible thing to do. I will be also monitoring water at all municipal levels to make sure that that goes forth. I'm going to be tasking a team at the EPA, all new employees, working at $36,000 a year as opposed to $80,000. Roseanne Barr is a puppet. She's not really doing enough. She co-opted the Green Party and she separated from the Green Party. She just did the exact opposite. You know, I have an audio program and I've checked the clip levels. I've adjusted it. So I think you're just hosing me right now with the audio and sound. I'll be glad to check system sounds and make sure everything's running. Yep, everything's good. Your mic is good, yeah. Everything's good. I'm looking at the microphone right now. I will drop levels. How's that? Better? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Is this an improvement? Testing 1, 2, 3. Better? Okay, good. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Good. I dropped it to 60%. Good. Thank you. Okay, excellent. All right, that's what I need to do. I think I made my... No, I'm not gay. Are you gay? Testing 1, 2, 3. Is that better? I have not asked Mark about the counter. Things are changing too fast right now for me to bother Mark right now. It doesn't really matter what my counter says. What you're seeing right now is popularity generated from a campaign we started 7 years ago. And I'm gaining popularity around the world now. Not in America necessarily, but around the world. You know, I would consider, absolutely, I will not in any way... My decision about a person's cabinet position in my cabinet will have nothing to do with their sexuality. You know, black wamba, fluoride has some merit, I suppose, if you rub it right on your teeth, but there's no merit whatsoever in determining it in your water supply. There's no proof that it helps your teeth when you put it in your water supply. Quite the opposite. It actually calcifies a certain area of your brain, which affects your ability to think and affects your cognitive reasoning ability. Now it sounds great. Good. Excellent. Well, you guys, and I want to thank the guests who kept riding me on the sound. You kept pushing me until I fixed it. Thank you. Excellent. See, your work has actually paid off. Okay, Throwaway Humanity says, David, I've been on the run from the police for a long time. I'd rather die before going to prison. Being caught for what I did as a fate worse than death. What did you do, Throwaway Humanity? What was your crime, if you don't mind me asking, since you're anonymous here? So Greg Trammell is dead? Is that Greg attempted to qualify for the season opener? What happened to Greg? Prof 123. Well, I think this sounds better now, don't you think? Are you starting to, what if I raise the volume? Is this better? 1, 2, 3. No, I'm not blaming anybody. We have a process that's really to blame. A corrupt Democratic and Republican Party willing to cheat, steal, and lie to retain power is not something we need. It's better now? Okay. Good. Well, I'd love to hear more about Obama's gay lovers. I know that many of you are kind of curious about, his relations with various people. One person is on record declaring that he had oral relations. He committed sodomy with Barack Obama. Let's take a listen here. This is Larry Sinclair.
Where Senator Obama exited the limousine with $250, which was provided to him by me. Returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine, after which I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, Gurnee, Illinois.
Larry Sinclair passed a, no, I'm not a porn star. Larry Sinclair passed a lie detector test with 99% certainty. Passed. He's telling the truth. He did have oral sex with Barack Obama in a limousine where they did an 8-ball of cocaine. He wanted everyone to know that your president is a drug user and a homosexual. He thought that it was important that you understand that he was living a dual life. And now that we've got a president who's been so ineffective, you really need to ask the questions, why did you vote for an ineffective president? Why did you vote for a president who couldn't fulfill any of his mandate? Why did you get tricked into voting for Obamacare, which ended up costing you 30 or 40% more on your insurance rates? What is a watch report? I don't even know what a watch report is. Yes, well, Obamacare passed, and therefore, even if the votes weren't counted, the representatives that passed it, like Dennis Kucinich, that had a nightcap in the Air Force One 2 times with his wife at Obama, he's the guy you need to blame. Dennis Kucinich. He's the guy that got Obamacare passed, and now you're screwed. What is this Washington State Watch Report? I don't even know what that is. Well, no, we can't really talk about 8 balls because that's not relevant. Drugs and drug paraphernalia is not part of the issue tonight. Well, I agree. There is no democracy on earth right now. I agree with you. Especially in the Democratic Party. They're the least democratic I've ever seen anyone could be. Anyone questioning the Democratic Party or any of their issues is called a racist, a truther, a birther. The Democrats, all they do are criticize people by calling them names. They don't answer to any questions. You can pin a Democrat down on any issue simply by asking them a question. They'll immediately call you a racist, or a whack job, or a truther. You see, the dialogue of politics is what is stifled. Our political process has been literally shunned at all levels. You ate so much? Where did you go to a buffet? So you guys got suckered into electing a black homosexual drug-using politician with a transgender wife. It's a trifecta. It's a tetrafecta. It's infecting. I do criticize Republicans. George W. Bush and Jeb Bush are basically the same problem. They've done nothing for this country. All they do is back big business and do nothing for the average American. You should ask Democrats now why they're doing the same thing Republicans are doing. You see, folks, we've got the same problem from both parties. This is an inherent problem with the two-party system in a country that claims to be free and democratic. I mean, there should be 3 parties. There should be 4 parties. Why would we just have 2 parties? Ask yourself that question. Then you'll realize that this whole thing is a sham. And how come we never saw a picture of Osama bin Laden's sheet-clad body floating? How come no one on the Carl Vinson could show us a picture of Osama bin Laden? You know, nobody on a aircraft carrier with near 4,000 people had a digital camera? And for that matter, why didn't we see a picture of Osama bin Laden's dead body? And please don't say that it's because we didn't want terrorism. Because now all we hear about is ISIS, which incidentally the CIA created. Whether they created it for good purposes or not, I don't know, but now it's a serious problem. When they trained the ISIS members in the CIA training camps in Jordan, they must have known there was going to be a problem with these people turning against them. So just last week, our president said that we were supporting ISIL forces. The very same forces that we were supposed to have gotten, you know, Iraq, the government was supposed to have gotten rid of these forces. Now they're fighting them, and now we're supporting them. Isn't that amazing? So here's the video of Barack Obama slipping up and saying that we support ISIL forces.
Was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Wow. And he didn't even recant that story. He didn't even recant what he said there. He was so hell-bent on saying whatever was on the speech writer's teleprompter that he just said it. So here he is sending ISIL forces, the enemy of Iraq, funding. And this is what the CIA has been doing all along. He just said the truth. That's probably the only time Barack Obama has ever said the truth. They trained ISIL, that's right, and ISIS. And now they're trying to run a scam on the American people to make us think that there's another great terror threat from ISIS. And it's spreading like wildfire. So they want us all to basically endorse another war. The next war they want is Syria and Ukraine. They want to send young men off to die again year after year with the same ploy that they've been playing on the American people for the past century. Lying to us. Using diversions, propaganda. So the American people have got to realize this is a case of a need to enlighten and awaken everybody we know. Spread the word about a third party to stop the two-party tyranny that's taken over our nation's foreign policy and domestic policy. David, you will have at Oval Office. That's not a question. Rephrase. Well, be frank. The money I would need to get on the ballot in every state, if you want to get a real figure here, is $40 million. All right? I went to Americans Elect conference in San Francisco in 2012, and I met with people that spent $40 million to get on the ballot in 30 states. And they completely disintegrated as a political movement because what it was a group of people connected to the Rothschilds, and I didn't realize that at the time. We found this out later. And they just wanted to prove that they can get anybody or anything on the ballot if they wanted to. $40 million, that's how much they invested. So they literally paid people $2 a signature to do this. We are both, Sarah and I are both watching Undercover Boss. We love that show. David, do you will have sex at Oval Office like Clinton? David, do you will have sex? No, I've actually said I will not have sex in the Oval Office. And if you'd like me to say it in the same manner as he did, would you like that? I'm going to say this again. I never had or never will have sex in the Oval Office, ever. Yeah, I just don't. I'm going to give you guys a chance to put a camera behind this desk here. You can put a camera in there. I'll put a little video camera. When I talk to you on a nightly chat, we'll put a little video camera underneath the desk to make sure nobody's under there. No BJs for you, Mr. President. You have any idea how screwed up this country is?
I never did have lust after a Playboy magazine. I did after lust after a Playgirl magazine. I was feeling a bit more curious at the time, and Rosalind said that that's just wrong.
Did you hear that Jimmy Carter said that Jesus would approve of gays? No, I'm not high at all. Did you hear him say last week that Jesus would have approved of gays? David, there's got to be conflict to support the military-industrial complex. Well, there is conflict. They own the two-party system. That's why Lockheed Martin gives out $2.3 million a year in donations to Republicans and Democrats, and in return for $2.3 million, they get $35 billion a year in contracts. And what about Ebola? That's got to be the biggest scam ever. We know that, and this is why I want you to get political control over the country. The people of this country need to have some oversight. This isn't working, folks. We're not getting a damn thing. We're getting screwed by the government itself. How many of you have gotten a penny other than food stamps for illegal aliens? I mean, seriously. So yeah, we need a third party like there was no tomorrow. Mr. Carter needs to read the Bible. Corinthians 5:6, Romans 1:18-32 say all sin is wrong. All right. Tell that to Jimmy Carter. What is he, 92? It's like talking to William Hung and asking him to do a impression of himself.
Make music my living. Talk to me, tell me your name. You blow me off like it's all the same.
What happened to his career? Yes, you can say something now. Well, Obama's a puppet. That's what he is. Yes, my Obama Ebola video is still up if you want to read it or watch it. Let me play it for you, okay? Since I can't get any airtime on YouTube because they're censoring my hits, I think I should just play the video for you right now and see what you think. But it pretty much typifies what's going on with our country's foreign policy and how ridiculous it's been over the past few years. Here's an original screening of Obama Ebola from my personal collection. Enjoy it. I'll be right back.
Obama, 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 tell us about Ebola, 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 love infecting you, no matter what you do.
We sent 4,000 troops into Liberia to get contaminated and bring it back home. So listen, my brothers and sisters, we're on the verge of the apocalypse. So it's time to open your eyes to the blindness that surrounds you. Well, make no mistake about it.
Let's be clear. I'll do anything for money. I'll support the World Bank by starting wars. I'll seed Muslim revolutions in 6 nations. And now I learned a new thing. Surgical strikes work. We're talking Tunisia, Libya, Yemen, Egypt, Syria, and Ukraine. I could even piss off Putin. So let's just trigger World War III. We're broke. Insane. Obamas. Yeah, surgical strikes work. So now I got my handlers in my back pocket. What's next? Ground troops, of course. Those men will lose their lives in vain. It's just a bump in the road. We did it with Benghazi. Let's just blame it on a movie. Disarmament is my goal. We'll do it with gun control. We'll put it in a bag by creating false flags. Did I mention Ebola? Let's let all infected Africans into America. Let's put Obamacare to work. It's the politically correct thing to do. You want to change? You got it. And then some. Remember I told you things were going to get worse before they get better? In fact, they're never going to get better. I'll make sure of that.
Obama, 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 cannot stop Ebola, Ebola, Ebola from infecting you. No matter what you do, it's always up to you to be free of misery. This is your destiny.
Sure. What about the economy? It's not a recovery. It's a recover-up. Having overspent by $6.66 trillion, I fulfilled my goal of bankrupting this nation. Now, I'm getting all my ducks in line. We're almost ready to declare martial law and send everyone to the FEMA camps for safety. It's the politically correct thing to do.
Obama, 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 hugged and kissed the nurses that treated Ebola, said it's safe to do.
I shook hands with, hugged, and kissed. Not the doctors, but a couple of the nurses.
Yeah. Let's trigger World War III. Come on, everybody. Do the politically correct thing. Let's trigger World War III. We can't print money fast enough to cover the interest on our debt. And it gets worse. With all this money, we've been able to buy up all the social networks. Heck, the NSA is watching you. And you don't even care. And that's okay. It's the politically correct thing to do. So sit back, do nothing, and watch me destroy America. I'm so glad I succeeded at something.
Well, he did succeed at that, I must say, yeah. All right, thank you. I'm glad you guys had a chance to see that, because this whole thing has been, unraveling with Ebola. Nobody really knows that our government's actually monitoring close to 400 people now because of the spread of Ebola within our own country. They're also worried about other diseases as well coming in from the south border. A lot of people are not aware that, measles in Disneyland, the 45 cases of measles occurred right after Barack Obama allowed 53,000 illegal alien children who had diseases to come into the country. Remember that 45 deaths or serious measles situation at Disneyland? Well, when you come into the country and you're a kid and you're from Bolivia and you have measles, where's the first place you want to go? Disneyland. That's a no-brainer.
Everyone wants to go to Disneyland.
I haven't even taken you to Disneyland.
I've never been to Disneyland.
I want to take you there. But we're going to make sure we're wearing air masks because I don't want anyone to give us measles. All right. Okay, we're here. Sarah's here.
Yeah, thank you.
You sold your wife for an internet connection? You cast for, well, that's nice. We got a Brazilian man who sold his, or Somalian man who sold his wife for the internet connection. Disneyland is expensive. What is it, like $100 a day now, or $82 a day for a ticket?
I would probably count on a couple hundred per person per day.
Per day, yeah. I'd rather take you to Disney World because I've never been to Disney World.
Okay.
Thank you, Poonswoggle. We want to get this country to respond to the American people, and our political process really isn't working right. Our free press isn't working right either. The government is controlling the press and censoring media outlets. Many people don't know that Google itself has major contributors from the government. That's why they pretty much do whatever the government tells them to do. So with the Google enterprise being so large, it's almost like the government really does own Google, but we're not socializing it, which is kind of strange. I would be willing to monopoly bust Google as long as we continue to keep it open source and make sure that people like you get involved. Rick. We're having fun at the White House tonight. Hey, Rick, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Dave?
Is this Don Tony or? Sounds like.
No, who's Don Tony?
I don't know. Sorry.
Rick.
It's Rick. What's up, Rick? Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, I got a question for you. What do you think about Donald Trump running for president? Do you think? What do you think about if picking him as your vice president?
David already has a vice presidential candidate. Her name is Sarah Hart.
That's my vice presidential candidate is right here with us. A woman that.
I'm sorry. Okay, Secretary of Defense. Secretary of Defense.
How about making him in charge of handling his own affairs? I don't even think he's doing that well.
You don't think so?
What do you like about Donald Trump? What do you like about a guy who slanders veterans, hates on Mexicans? How is he going to help anybody? What do you like about him?
I think he's doing a great job. I think he's being very honest and he's just speaking his mind.
Well, if you were honest, you wouldn't call Mexicans criminals, murderers, and rapists. I mean, you'd call them illegal aliens, which they are. I don't need illegal aliens.
That's not what he said.
He said most of them are.
He said a lot of people, he's not just saying Mexico, he's just saying a lot of people are coming through that border that are bad people. He said, Mexico, Iran, Iraq, these terrorists, they're not sending their finest.
No, believe me, I'm concerned about the border more than Donald Trump is, because I have a plan.
Right, yeah.
I have a plan. Donald Trump doesn't have a plan to build a 1,000-mile fence. Now, my plan was copied by Michelle Bachmann, and she ran with it as her campaign in 2012. But my plan with a 1,000-mile fence isn't something Donald Trump is endorsing. Why isn't he? You tell me.
Can I hear your plan, sir?
Okay, yeah. My plan is to build a 1,000-mile fence using illegal aliens that are currently in our prison system that are costing us $25 billion a year to warehouse. And we can pull them out slowly, the ones that are not capital offenders, and have them use 2 to 3 weeks or possibly a month of their time, and then give them a package to go to their own home country once they're done working. We then get them out of our country, get them to work on the fence, and when the fence is fully built, we won't have the problem that we have today. It'll start to stop the flow, and the massive flow could be potentially great from Mexico, especially if there's an earthquake in Mexico City. You can only imagine how many people would be coming over our border rapidly. So it neutralizes the problem so that we don't have to deal with shoot-on-sight plans. Because if we've got 1 million people screaming into Nevada and Arizona, you can only imagine what it would do to our economy. It's already putting us on the edge when education and medical use and food stamps are being drained by illegal aliens. So I have been running the illegal alien issue from the very beginning for 7 years. Basically, I've had zero time on the media, and Donald Trump's had hours to make a fool of himself. And I've been doing a very good job of not hating on Mexico and not hating on possible veterans that are proud of their work. And I even know a POW who literally got caught because the Tet Offensive was telegraphed, and the North Vietnamese knew that the planes were coming in. And that's why he was caught, not because he didn't try hard enough not to be caught, like Donald Trump said. That is a reckless thing to say about John McCain.
I do want to say one more thing about the border. Like Elizabeth says, it shouldn't take any more than 2 weeks to process someone who I would say, instead of who wants to become a citizen, who enters our country illegally to be deported. And I would like to see all of our Border Patrol agents deputized as federal judges in order to expedite the due process issue with our illegal immigration issue.
Right now,
as far as people wanting to become citizens, they need to do that in their home country.
Okay, so we have a very interesting plan, fast-track naturalization, which we coined that term. I coined the term in 2008. And Barack Obama was using that same term that I coined, fast-track naturalization, in his campaign. But it's nothing like what we want. Sarah's idea of sending people to their home country, or having them go to their home country, pay a $1,000 fee to become a U.S. citizen, and get some free English, history, and government lessons for that fee, would be included, and then they could come over the border with their dual citizenship once they pass the 6-question test. That's a sensible plan. It doesn't say, hey, come on in, illegals, and we'll give you work visas like Obama just did, 5 million work visas. So we don't want to telegraph this and give them an opportunity.
You gotta admit, though, this guy is fun. Donald Trump is very funny.
I know, you got to admit that this show is about David John Sponheim for president. Yeah. So please don't come in here or call our show endorsing or promoting other candidates.
Right.
Thank you.
Bear in mind, I've had zero time in the mainstream media. I've been censored in every way. And you run around talking about people who get endless time because of their money. You're supporting a capitalist pig like Donald Trump. It's fascinating. Go ahead. Let's talk about energy. That's good. What's your question?
You know, there is a lot of energy issues out there that, like, I believe we need more and more renewable energy.
Yep.
More business, and I just want to tell you that I really took your advice, and you're talking about like $1,000 to start. So I went ahead and I went on Craigslist and I opened up a landscaping business, and I started small, and I bought a lawnmower off of Craigslist. You know?
Yeah, yeah, cool.
And,
that was my advice. Yeah.
I started.
Yeah. So what happened?
Yeah, so I bought a lawnmower off of Craigslist, and I bought a used $175, but it worked really well. And I started doing local jobs because I don't have a car, and I got a bunch of contracts, around my house,
good,
my neighborhood, and very hot where I live. So definitely, $20 here, $20 there. So definitely started to add up, and
good.
I started fertilizing as well. So I started to grow my business, but it definitely worked out well, and I started to pay my rent and started to save up money. But the business has slowed down a little bit in the past week because somebody sold my lawnmower. But I just wanted to call you, kind of thank you,
sure,
for giving me that advice, because it definitely. And you know what? If I would have had that $1,000, I probably could have went a little bit long.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally. You could easily have gotten your feet on the ground. He's talking about my micro loan program, which we're going to put in place in 2017.
Yeah.
We're going to give everybody we can, the startup capital to get started. Once we get Congress to approve the micro loan program, I can't just deliver this out of the White House. This is one of those plans that's going to need congressional approval because it's expensive to offer a $1,000 donation and hope that you're going to pay it back with interest. It's a risk we're taking, but at the same time, it would help you immediately to get started in a local business. eBay items you could buy and sell. You could start a lawnmower or a house cleaning, environmentally safe house cleaning with house cleaning products. People might say, wow, no toxins, a no toxin house cleaning environment. A job like that could actually bring you $30-40 a day for a couple hours of your work, for sure. So good luck, and getting a new mower is essential.
Uber is, Dave?
What?
You ever hear of Uber?
Uber.
Yes, I have
Sarah
heard
has.
of Uber. I would have to say I do, as far as using Uber to make money, I somewhat advise against it, only because you want to make sure, unless your auto insurance company provides insurance for you. So, for instance, my auto insurance company, I was just telling David, this month my auto insurance company added a clause to their auto insurance, and all of you guys might want to double check your policy, that says not only will, basically they said they will not insure me if I am engaged in any kind of ride sharing, and that basically they go so far as to say ride sharing includes any time you sign into a program for sharing.
Yeah.
So if I were to get an Uber account just to sign in to see if somebody else could pick me up, I would lose my insurance for the time that I was signed in to Uber.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing. Yeah, any ride sharing is being discouraged by insurance companies right now.
So you just want to double check.
Well, no, I was thinking like a Uber.
Yeah.
Not for ride sharing, but for creating a system, an app, for lawnmower services,
Yeah.
in the neighborhood. So if somebody needs lawnmower, trim, their grass cut, they hit a button, I'll be there in a flash to mow their lawn,
That's a cool idea.
That is a great idea.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
a cool idea. And you're also seeing some slowdowns because people's grass is not growing fast during the summer.
Another thing you might want to invest in if you're doing that kind of thing as a website is look into work time exchanges. So basically, sometimes people decide to exchange their time for each other doing services. So if you give somebody lawn care service, they, instead of giving you money, they could give you a coupon good for an hour worth of some other service, and then everybody in this time exchange could all pitch in an hour, and then they exchange their time with each other. It's kind of interesting. So then one person's hour is just worth one other person's hour, rather than having to spend. So say maybe you need daycare, or you need, like David said, house cleaning or something else. You could use that voucher to say, oh, okay, instead of I'll mow your lawn, you watch my kids, something like that.
Right. We got a link from Scissor Fight saying all Charleston crisis actors exposed in one video. Now, Charleston, South Carolina attack, it occurred at a time when the story of gun control was kind of disappearing again. Every time gun control kind of disappears, we see another event like Charleston. And many people were asking, why didn't the cameras see any bodies hauled out of that church?
Now, speaking of Charleston, the Charleston issue, I do want to say, yes, we did discuss the 6 state governors who ordered the arming of the National Guard. I'm going to say again that from my interpretation of the reading, basically, that before the shooting, actually not Charleston, before the shooting in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that the recruiting offices where the Chattanooga, Tennessee shooting happened were considered weapons-free zones. And in my opinion, weapons-free zones kind of make the people shooting ducks, sitting ducks. And I want to commend the governors for declaring the National Guard can be armed at those facilities.
You know, I was approached by a media firm claiming that I was some sort of a racist. And I said, I'm not a racist. I've never said a racial slur in my life. And they said, what do you think of this video that you made, a blackface video? I said, well, it's an impersonation video of Barack Obama. I couldn't have done it in whiteface. It's almost like they want a racially charged story. And because I wasn't a racially charged story, they wouldn't even play my 10-minute video where I talked about what I did.
Right.
They refused. They want racial hostility. And the media is part of this plan to continually foment conflict between races, genders, economic levels, because they don't want the American people to unite. Because united we stand, and divided we fall. So they're trying to keep the American people down, and that's one of the reasons why they're censoring us. They do. That's their game plan.
Hey, Dave,
Yeah.
do you have a Twitter account or no?
Yes.
Or Facebook?
It's right on the screen, man. You can see it. It's called @thirdparty.
Twitter.com/thirdparty, Facebook.com/thirdparty.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is not offensive. I have had no black people approach me saying that it's extremely offensive. I've had people say, man, it's understandable, man. Everybody's doing impersonation videos now. I mean, even Snoop Doggy Dogg recently did an impersonation video and put it on Instagram. He put it out there just for people to see that he is not afraid to do whiteface. But not one person has accused Snoop Doggy Dogg of being a racist. And it's funny how this dual ethic is just flying against anybody who speaks out against this black president. You know, we've got a real serious problem with a dual ethic here. Check this out.
Hey, hanging out with Rory.
Two white guys.
He wants to go out to my game tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. Oh wow, you gonna film it? Are you gonna film it? Yes, sir. Yeah. Woo!
All right, so I mean, it almost looks like me. You know, if I were you to put kind of like a goatee on me, I mean, he's not that far off from my face. You know, yet nobody's calling him a racist. It's just I don't get this. How was I supposed to impersonate Barack Obama in whiteface? I mean, there's no way I could have done that.
What do you think of this Iran deal, Dave? Isn't that incredible? Stupid.
Yeah, it's really stupid that Barack Obama would offer Iran all these financial perks, not even put it in the document. There's no money listed, yet we're offering $50 billion in cash and $100 billion in credit. That's not even in the document.
To give them a bomb.
Yeah, to give them a bomb in 1 year and 1 day.
Yeah.
It's unreal. I think this might be a good impersonation video. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's my Obama Ebola video. You could click on that. That'll get a little bit of my impersonation there. And you'll notice how slim I am in that video. It's kind of cool. All right, great. I don't shake hands with anybody. No.
So what's next? Are you going to go out and get another lawnmower?
That's another step. Why don't you get an electric lawnmower and charge the batteries? That'll save you on gas. They make a good one.
Yeah.
We bought an electric lawnmower, and it's really effective.
Ryobi.
Ryobi makes them for $340. That's too much money. He needs to buy a used gas one to get his business.
Yeah, for now. But save up
And
for
a few
that.
extra bucks now. So at the time, I just got whatever I could off of Craigslist. But I there's a lot more on sale right now, and a lot of people are selling them. Believe it or not, they sell them on Craigslist, Dave and Sarah, and they hire people to do them. And this is for people that are looking to make to make a living. This is perfect.
It is
perfect.
And
they
probably.
I wanted to call you and tell you that your plan is for something that when you first hear it you laugh, but I mean it's you can make a lot of money doing it.
And then you can put out, on Craigslist, once you buy your mower off of there, you can put out your services on Craigslist saying, hey, I'll come mow your lawn. Post your phone number and, it'll probably...
Right, yeah. That's what I was thinking about, doing, right, I didn't have a car, truck, so I was doing local, but believe it or not, I mean, people don't want to go out in the heat and cut their lawn, so they pay $20-25 to do it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Agree. You could probably definitely charge $25 for a lawn, about a half acre in size. It's worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and always bump up another $5 in your $20 range just to cover your expenses. You could even go 30.
I know someone that paid $80
for his lawn to be mowed.
An hour.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
See, had 2 people out there mowing their lawn, and it's per time that they had it mowed. And I definitely think, especially older people, it's just one of those things they don't want to do themselves. So yeah, that's a very good idea.
You're not even off the shit, and Sarah, you're not even off the shit, and you're grading jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
great.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah.
We really do think a microloan program is exactly what the American people need. The numbers show that we're going to need about $200 billion to do this. That's just a small amount relative to what the government's already doled out to big corporations. I mean, welfare, the corporate welfare that they get.
$50 billion.
Yeah, we just gave Iran $50 billion, but we can't give our own infrastructure $50 billion. Obama's pathetic.
And if you live in somebody in the chat actually had a good idea. If you live in a snowy place where it snows in the winter, when you start your lawn repair business in the summer, then save up your money for a snowblower in the winter. And then you can, and snow shovels, and then you can offer to...
Yep, offer a snow shovel. If you got one of those electric snow shovels or, gas-operated snow shovels, you'd be in demand too. Another good one. And always go to a used guy on Craigslist who's fixing up these mowers and make sure that, he's a good, reliable guy so that he can even repair the one that you have and sharpen your blade. Because believe me, if you do a mowing operation, your blade's going to get a little dull. Okay, we got a lot of interesting things from Scissor Fight here I want to show you. There's...
we're not allowed to show video of children on this network.
We can't show pictures of kids. But I can say nearly all scientific papers are controlled by the same 6 corporations. So they control everything, including the science and information. One of the interesting stories that came out of the MH370 situation was... Flight MH370, they still don't know what caused it to go down. But one thing is true, Jacob Rothschild actually knew. He actually had a patent on a UAV system that is used in our military UAV systems that he was sharing with 5 other people that were on the flight MH370. And when that flight went down and they disappeared completely, Jacob Rothschild is now the only owner of that patent, unique to UAV military superiority, which is very, very weird. Your hair is amazing. It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
So nearly all scientific papers controlled by the same 6 corporations. The flow of scientific information, a new study in Canada reveals, since the 1970s, scientific journals have been controlled by the same few companies. Wow. And another story that's interesting is a man opens a fast food order, finds $4,500 in cash, then gets nasty, surprise, when he goes to return the money. Well, it started when James Miner complained about his order. The Virginia man said he visited a Bojangles location and for his order. He sent it back to the person who was working in the window and asked him to get some fresh chicken. And they told me to pull up the drive-thru, and the fresh chicken would be out in 6 or 7 minutes. After waiting a few minutes, a restaurant employee walked in by his car and handed him, and couldn't have predicted what he would do, handed him a bag. When I opened the box, he said, there was about close to $4,500 in cash. Wow. And deposit slips. He quickly took a photo of the cash with his phone. He then went inside, did the right thing, and returned the money. Miner said he was stunned by the attitude he faced from the manager. He told me an arrogant, nasty attitude, being disrespectful, saying that we would have called the authorities on you, too. And here he's doing a good thing, bringing the money back.
Yes.
Most people would have kept on going with the money. I mean, wow. So you get penalized for returning money that somebody doesn't. Wow. And then the story about.
I need this link. I need the link.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you post the link?
Sure. Here's the link to that story about six companies controlling.
It's on yournewswire.com.
Yournewswire.com. Okay. So, what's your question again? If you have any other, I had to put your phone on hold there. Do you have any other questions?
No, that was it, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great night, okay?
You too. Good luck. Take care.
All right, thanks.
A lot of people are trying to make money any way they can in this tough economy, and you listen to Americans all over the place. They say, "Man, the price of food is skyrocketing." Sarah and I have been going to the expired food section in the meat department just to make a good deal on a piece of steak. You know, I mean, when you want to eat a nice piece of beef, you got to really pay through the nose. Otherwise, you got to buy it expired meat, which is actually not so bad.
Good night, Sunstar.
Good night, Sunstar. Thank you.
I don't know if you're saying good night or not.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I got you. Okay, what's the question? Jacques, hello. What's the question?
It's
among America or on the southern borders.
Okay.
They're exporting white women from
Right.
the East Coast down to the Mexican government.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of white women from Eastern Europe being exploited in America. That's another issue, too. Somebody called me a couple years ago and said, hey, do you know that there's sex slaves out there? And
There are lots of sex slaves out there. I mean, many of them. Russian women do not be considered as sex slaves because Russian women are actively leaving Russia. The rest of them are considered sex slaves because they go out trying to do their sex slave, like being a prostitute or an escort, and they expect to go home to their kids. And instead, these criminals keep them on the sex traffic ring, and it pushes them around the country in the sex tourism.
I know, it's crazy. And I will do everything I can to task the FBI to stop this. This is a behavior that's been going on, and we're going to need to be busting a lot of strip clubs and asking for citizenship papers from some of the thugs that are running them. I mean, that's just one of the things we're going to have to do. We don't want to leave the women, we don't want to push the women into a situation where they're vulnerable. You see, they're put in a situation where they are already vulnerable. That's why they're being manipulated. So we need some sort of a safety net for those women to provide safe haven for them when we do extract them from the sex slave industry. So I'm going to be setting up protocols to do that. But it's all a plan to eliminate.
People to drop. We be getting in there deep, digging out of the fucking trenches,
Right.
getting this under control.
Right.
They're being kidnapped
Yeah.
from northern of America and taken to the southern border.
They are.
How do you take women that are just semi-attractive women and take them to the south? Hold on, my cousin's been talking.
All right.
I'm very strong about this topic, too. I believe that women are too vulnerable in this day of society.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
they're not like they where they completely obeyed their husbands and all that stuff, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I think women are put in that position by the government to be more vulnerable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I think women have is something that obviously is in high demand in our society. Obviously, sex is huge, so they're being subjugated. I see a lot of violations going on within the the pornography industry. We're seeing a lot of people being turned into sex slaves, whether they like it or not. And I see very little signatures for releases. I'm sure many of them are probably being exploited to make pornos, and then they're turned into sex slaves. It's like a mill. They're profiting on every level from these women.
And the crappy thing is that there's a lot of people into some really weird stuff, like the Craigslist killer.
Oh yeah.
And like a guy that wants her to watch porn movies in his mother's wedding dress. You know what I mean? I can't believe that
yeah.
These women are just being kidnapped to do this weird stuff.
Well, it's worse than that in some ways. I mean, you get near the border. I mean, I tell people don't go to into Mexico if you're a woman. Don't walk the streets of Juarez if you look like Sarah.
Don't go there at all.
Don't go there at all. I mean, don't send your kids down there on a spring break and expect them to come back. It's very dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to get all used up, and it's going to be like screaming echo into a giant canyon.
This is pretty messed up, and I don't want to see people exploited. So I'll do everything I can to task the FBI to intervene, especially with people being trafficked over the border into Mexico. This is why we need a 1,000-mile fence. Again, we'll keep the opening trade points, all the areas where people get, access to Mexico will certainly be available still. We're not stopping trade with Mexico. We just want to make sure we have a fence to secure it so that people don't filter back once they've been deported. All right. I really hung up on the guy because he was referring to a woman's vagina as a canyon. I thought that was really disgusting. You're a joke, and I'm going to remove you from the room. And I'm not even laughing. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I personally think that what's going on with the sex slave industries, or the underground sex slave issues,
terrible.
Is very terrible. I personally think that I know this is a strange belief or whatever, I personally believe that if prostitution were legalized, there would be less of this sex trade business going on, because I believe that women who were involved in the sex industry could
make money
legally, could call the police if they felt that they were in a situation that they were vulnerable, and they would be more willing to question who they're engaging in business with.
Well, and another thing too, if women knew they're protected because they're not going to face a vulnerable situation, that they're protected by the law, they won't get a lot of pimps using them and violating them. I mean, you won't see people, offering a protection money for the prostitute and their pimp harem, whatever these people have. All right, we're going to remove some of the hatred that's coming in the show right now, and we're going to ask that chatters get a real account.
If prostitution were legalized, if marijuana were legalized, people do not have to engage in that activity.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there should be some limits as far as the promotion of that activity. So, for instance, I don't like the idea, like the advertising for it can be somewhat regulated, but because like what happens in Las Vegas on the streets is really crazy. But I really I think that people don't have to engage in it if it's legal.
Right.
You can still live your Christian life and
Go
be
ahead. What's your
moral,
question?
and other
Hi.
people can engage in it.
We're talking about sex slaves and legalizing legalizing prostitution. We're talking about it. What do you want?
I don't know about legalizing prostitution. I agree that it would probably be a less violent scenario than it is nowadays with pimps and johns beating up the women.
Yeah, that's my concern. Yeah.
But there's a lot of women like in the porn industry. I know porn and prostitution, whatever, they're making money from it, or they're making money from prostitution.
Yeah.
But there's some women that just enjoy it. I mean, I've watched a lot of documentaries and a bunch of stuff about sex slaves, and there are some women that just enjoy it.
You know, I'm not talking. I'm not talking. Women don't like to be objectified and turned into animals.
I mean, there
it's
are.
ridiculous.
I mean, so if I would say this.
There's some women out there that are into that.
Well, fine. Why don't you go marry them? You know, that's not the issue. We just don't. We want to protect innocence. Okay. If you want to become depraved, that's your choice. It's free will. We're trying to protect the innocent here.
Exactly. I believe in that. So I also believe that cannibalism and murder should be legal.
Wow.
Wow.
That person's really demented. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that was the Nazi. He likes to attack our show because he's waiting. His freedom right now is measured in just a few years before he's arrested for all the libelous things he's been saying on our show.
And as far as someone that said a legalization of prostitution wouldn't be very Christian, you know, it brings to mind Jesus Christ, who allowed Mary Magdalene, who was a known prostitute, to wash his feet with her hair.
Yeah.
And he was forgiving, very forgiving of her behavior.
Yeah.
Accepted her into as a person, as an individual.
I thought that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute.
She was.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it would be some people said it would be unchristian to legalize prostitution. I say it would be more Christian to legalize prostitution.
Exactly. We want to elevate human rights, and women should be free to check to see if they have STDs and not worry about getting arrested. You know, the big thing here is not creating the barrier for women to feel like they're going to be arrested for the activities. Now, there are police departments in Washington that pay their police officers, their vice cops, $150 to go sit in a lap dance area and try to get closer than 9 inches to a lap dancer and then arrest her. That's a total misuse of our tax dollars. I mean, giving a cop $150 to get a lap dance? That's ridiculous. Go ahead. What's your question?
Hello, David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead. What's up?
Okay, I'm calling in because I was just chiming in on the conversation that came up at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Your lady's mouth spoke the words best for the rest of us. Jesus Christ himself traveled with a prostitute and a group of men. Therefore, there's no reason any Christian should ever be against homosexual marriage, because it is obvious that Jesus Christ himself was bisexual.
Okay, thanks. Your opinion may very well be your opinion. You know, it is not really. We're not talking about religion. We're talking about politics here, and building a solution to the deprivation and objectification and oppression of women is what we're angling for. We're trying to get solutions. So when Sarah said legalize
I do believe in accepting everyone, regardless of their sexual orientation, and I do believe in equal protection under the law. And I personally believe, as far as the government goes, that we need to encourage the government to be less involved in people's personal relationships. In fact, I don't think the government should be involved in people's personal relationships at all.
Yeah.
Well, tonight, the new top Mexican official in Sacramento says it is not just farmers who are suffering in our drought. The new Mexican consul general says migrant workers are finding themselves without jobs.
I was just an article about the CEO of Reddit is now putting harsher controls against trolls. Go ahead.
All right, so moving on,
Thank you.
I want to go back to the issue of that you talked about promoting businesses for people, and I mean that was the oldest profession under the book, and as they
well,
say.
I mean, you could take $1,000 and promote your business no matter what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be the plan of our microloan program. So if you're a prostitute, you want to buy, I guess, the appropriate condoms necessary to conduct your business. Lubricant, jellies, and things like that. But I can't imagine spending $1,000 on whips and spanking toys, but if that's your profession, maybe that's what you're looking to do. I don't really know what your deal is, but it's your $1,000 to do with, as long as you pay it back, you'll always be given another loan. If you never pay it back, you'll never get another loan. Ever. Ever. Okay? That's the plan, the microloan program we're talking about.
But the whole idea is giving people a hand up instead of a handout.
That's right, a hand up instead of a handout. Now, this is a breach of the ethic of the Republicans to never give anybody anything. and a breach of the Democrats who want to give everybody all kinds of money that we don't have, taxpayer money that we don't have. We want to make sure people have a hand up, but they don't want to be taking advantage of that either. So it's all about stimulating the economy too. If we infuse $1,000 into the American economy per person, per citizen, as if you're a non-U.S. citizen, you won't get this. But if we infuse that kind of money, it's going to guarantee a little stimulus in the economy, no matter what you do that money with. You could be buying crack cocaine, it'll still stimulate the economy, ironically.
Elizabeth says that
Not
the
that you
government
should.
used to have a program where they first started businesses, depending on how many people they employed, they would give you a grant for hiring U.S. citizens. I think that it needs another look at too,
Well,
as long as they're U.S. citizens.
I have a plan. It's my infrastructure bank plan, and it's different than the microloan program. It's for businesses, U.S. businesses that are already working and making money and showing good potential. We will offer them a 2% loan, a direct loan from the Treasury. And this will, as long as they are U.S. businesses hiring U.S. citizens at a living wage of $15 an hour, they'll get that money. And this is a real strong incentive to get American job growth and production going again in a country that's obviously stagnating. We got a call from Rubber Ducky, 69. Okay, Rubber Ducky, go ahead. What's your question?
Hey, David. Now, I just want to talk about Trump talking about calling McCain not a war hero, and then after that really saying, yeah, he is a war hero. I just want to hear what you think about it.
Well, obviously, he's a flip-flopper. He realized that he put his foot in his mouth and he was gargling on his foot. You know, the man is just squeaky and greasy, and he's not really coming across as a straight, solid candidate. If he seriously wants to clean up his act and run a strong presidential race, stop dissing the people that he needs to get votes from. Obviously, there are Latinas in this country that are going to be voting Democrat. The Republicans have been grooming the Latino vote for the past 7 years, and he goes around and makes statements that just kills that, and then now he's killing veteran votes, which has been a staple of the Republican Party. And many people are saying that Trump seems to be supporting Hillary Clinton, you know, by the comments he's making. He's pushing everybody to the Democratic Party. I think Trump is good for the mix. I'm glad that he's actually in this race, because we're seeing how completely inept some of the Republicans are. You know, Ben Carson, when asked, what do you think about what Donald Trump said, Ben? He said that everyone defines heroes differently. Well, that's just a candy-ass, weak statement to make. I mean, Ben Carson, you got to grow some balls, man, and say it like it is. John McCain, no matter what I disagree with him on political level, because I don't agree with the Republicans, I think he is a war hero. And you know something? John McCain turned down an offer by his father to buy his way out of North Vietnam.
I just want to say this. I think that all of our veterans deserve our thank you and appreciation.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't believe any one of them is more of a hero than any other.
I really think that Trump does like veterans. I really think he stirred the pot intentionally to draw attention to this veterans issue that we currently have, which John McCain was in charge of. So I think he might be just a little clever, more clever than we all think.
No.
I don't know.
No, he's not. In fact, when you have foot and mouth disease and you get free reign on the media and all the media time you've ever wanted because you're rich and you're a rich capitalist pig that borrows money and goes bankrupt 4 times and continues to get more free media time. Basically, at one point, any media, good or bad, is good for a candidate. But in this particular case, we're giving far too much attention to a guy who has foot and mouth disease and obviously is misstepping everywhere he goes, which is not a good sign for a presidential leader, and he doesn't bode well for this country.
I get it. I know it's disturbing some of the things he says, but once again, if we just look at who he's going against, they're all politicians. So, I mean,
let's look at David John Sponheim. He's running for president of the United States of America, and it's about time that you go out and promote him. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to turn guest chat off right now, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much opposition we're facing from all the Democrats and Republicans that come in here and absolutely have no idea that the entire American people have been censored, and we're proof of that fact. 7 years we've been doing this, and the media will refuse to play any of our press releases. They refuse to give us any time at all, not 1 second of media time, and we continue to build this popular growth community online, and the media doesn't even want to approach it. They don't even want to talk about it.
Thank you, because I Care has been promoting.
Thank you. You've been all of you have been promoting us. The reason why we're going forward is because of you guys.
There's a really good question that came up in the room. How can we take the financial incentive out of the defense contractor and war business? That's a very good question.
Yeah, well, the financial assistance that they're getting from all of your tax dollars is beyond belief. I mean, they authorized $692 billion with the NDAA plan. They repealed the posse comitatus provision in our government, which prevented the U.S. Army from using their own forces against their own people. They're violating our freedoms and our rights and our liberties, and they are allowing the military-industrial complex to run a bill up to $1 trillion every year in overpayments. So we're literally getting fleeced by the corporate welfare of McDonnell Douglas, Lockheed Martin, Northrop, etc., etc. Most of these companies are in the business of war and weapons of mass destruction. And their goal is to continually make more money, acting like somehow they're building American jobs, when in fact they don't hire that many people to run these planes. It's a small cadre of very stuck-up, almost social rejects flying a lot of these planes. Many of them have absolutely no idea of the devastation that could happen if one of these planes crashes. I live under an area that is using a populated area of 50,000 people as a training ground for young pilots. Recently, 2 of them were trained in our area about 8 months ago, crashed 2 F-18s on top of the Carl Vinson. They didn't land on the Carl Vinson, but they downed both planes, and one of the pilots died. So they're not fully trained. The jets are not exactly what we expected. The F-35 is underperformed in all kinds of stress tests, and measured up against the F-16 has completely failed in 2 critical areas of jet combat, of flight combat. So if we don't take a second look at the contractors and how powerful they are as a government, we're going to get taken to the cleaners. We're already in the cleaners, wondering, wow, where's the money? Where's all the money? It's sucked into the entire Pentagon. And I guess Donald Trump has actually never really mentioned the industrial complex and how much it's sucking us dry. It's funny how he doesn't hit on the key issues, like the importance of legalization of marijuana, or of getting out of foreign wars, or ending GMOs, or ending the Fed. You notice how Donald Trump doesn't make any comments about the issues? He starts to breed hate. This is exactly what a demagogue does. Now, I've been driving this campaign on the issues, and every one of the issues that I stand for are well known, I mean, among you guys, but I can't even be heard in the mainstream media. Mostly, American people do not want war. We want to legalize pot. 58% of the population endorses it, but Donald Trump doesn't. Jeb Bush doesn't, and he smoked marijuana most of his adult life. I mean, all these people that are hypocrites, even Barack Obama admitted he smoked marijuana most of his adult life, and he won't even legalize it. So clearly we've got a lot of hypocrisy going on in our government, and it's got to stop. So the best way to tell these 2 parties your days are limited is to get a presidential candidate to lead a third-party movement in this nation. You're not on a permaban, no. You're still here. You know, I'm not a person who's going to promote a gay agenda. I'm just not. I don't even think the government should be involved in our personal lives. I side with Sarah on this one. In the 1800s, medical journals published more than 100 articles touting the benefits and uses of marijuana. Truth to you. Thank you.
We'll see what David says, Nancy.
Nancy, we've got a lot of problems. You were attacking numerous people on that night, and we can't unban you. No, sorry.
Dave, do you have a plan for health care? How can we get more people the care they need? This question comes from Poonswoggle.
Sure. Well, I've been very public about our mobile medical unit plan, which is going to cost approximately $2 billion, not $1,500 billion like Obamacare. It's $2 billion. We're going to create 200 mobile medical units in Detroit or South Bend, Indiana, either one. We're going to task U.S. companies to create mobile medical units, and we're going to get the necessary supplies for them within this $1 billion budget, and then 1 year operating expenses is about $1 billion. What this does is it creates a bypass to the existing healthcare crisis in America. Now, mobile medical units are this. This Minnesota mobile medical unit is an example of what we're going to be building. We will have something much more advanced than this, which will be able to provide immediate health care, a preventative health care. A blood prick exam will give you your full blood chemistry instantaneously from a computer, which will analyze your blood for all kinds of components like electrolytes, etc., predisposition to diabetes, predisposition to heart disease, and possibly even detect whether you have a cancer in your body. That's a possibility. Very sophisticated blood tests could prevent cancer, and it could cost you as much as $25 copay. Now, if you're a veteran, you're going to get this stuff for free, because I'm going to be implementing the mobile medical plan for sure. Without congressional approval, this is not needed here. As President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, I will be able to mobilize this through the VA system. So that's one step. The other step is to actually get all public hospitals and nonprofit public hospitals who are getting tax benefits for being nonprofit to adhere to a strict plan where salaries top off at $160,000 or $150,000 a year. And even doctors who are getting $150,000 a year working with the public health system will actually have free malpractice insurance. That'll be part of the deal. So it'll be saving them a lot of money on malpractice insurance, and they'll probably be okay with that. Many doctors are willing to work for $150,000 in the NHS plan in England. So this is a plan that we implement here, and that automatically starts lowering your cost. If you had some skin cancer removed, you could pay upwards of $300 to $3,000, depending on the doctor you go to and the country you go to. So in our country, we got to get the costs down. So part of this plan will be to fix all procedures at a fixed cost. An x-ray will cost a certain amount at a public or nonprofit hospital.
So actually, Freebird, we do believe in legalizing marijuana, but even if marijuana is legalized, I myself am going to encourage you to make the decision that I have, and that is I will never do marijuana. I won't ingest it in any way, shape, or form. So I think that everyone should make that decision for themselves. And if people want to do that, that's their own personal choice.
All right. Now, I have made every effort to get into the ballot in Iowa, and no one's taken me up on my offer yet. And anybody who knows anybody in Iowa, I will pay $1 per signature, verified by the Secretary of State as an authentic signature, and you've got to get 150 per county in Iowa. Now, I banned a guy just a second ago, and I'm going to unban him because I think I jumped the gun on him. But he said that all legitimate candidates are in Iowa. I can't even get to Iowa, okay? Our donation basis is very small. Everything we do is published in the FEC.gov's website. Quarterly reports are made. I don't want to interview Donald Trump. I just want 1 second of time in the media to talk about the issues. And the first second, I'll just say, help! The American people don't have a voice. Help us. When you turn on the TV, you're listening to about 35 of the same people every night, year after year. Are you telling me that those 35 people represent this country? Because that's what they're telling you. So they don't want new people in who are uncontrollable. They don't want anybody building a third party in this country. They essentially want to nullify the American people, and that pisses me off. Big time. And that's why I'm running it every single night at America's Third Party. This is why we've dedicated this time period in our lives to build this third party and to get this country to start thinking. We've forgotten how to think. We've forgotten how important the free press is. Yes.
Polls are bought off. Let's not forget that little fact.
Yeah.
People pay for polls to be done.
Yeah.
Who's paying for those polls to be done? Check it out.
Basically, Trump is a corporate pig. And if you want a corporate pig to run your country and somehow think you're going to get anywhere, you must be out of your mind. Yes, as president, I not only will acknowledge the chemtrails exist, I will stop the chemtrails. I will pull fluoride from our water system. I will end the hazardous, dangerous GMO practice that Monsanto is engaging in. I will begin to pull our troops back and subtract troops from the Middle East. I promise you that. We will not add troops. I will send no ground forces into the Middle East except for what is currently stationed in that region. Okay? We don't want to stand around and let some incredibly greedy man who, after bankrupting his company 4 times and borrowing all kinds of money from the Federal Reserve, get to the point where they want to be president, which is got to be the greediest act of all of somebody who simply wants more power. So if you're not clued in on the dangers of having Trump as your president, I can't even speak to you on the issues of human rights, the environment, completely irrelevant government that's doing nothing to help all of you get opportunity and education, even some money to start a small business. They're not doing anything for you. And you think Trump is going to do something for you? You got to be kidding me. Trump would bulldoze his parents' home to build a casino. Thank you. Word. Hey, I love Green Acres.
Rubber Ducky for putting David first in that equation.
Yeah, if Trump wants to call me and say, hey, David, you're not fired, I'd say, look, we've got a lot of differing opinions, Trump. Obviously, you'll be towing the line for corporate America. I'm sorry I called you a pig. I would do that. I'm not afraid to do that.
David, Powell Light. I don't know what your name is. Anyway, you're saying we need David to represent average Americans. Here is your candidate right here.
I, at this point, want notoriety. I have had 0 time in the mainstream media. So obviously I'm seeking some time in the mainstream media to refute issues. Is this true?
Yeah. I haven't played it. So
no, I know John. Look, I don't agree with the politics of John McCain, but I wouldn't call him not a war hero.
That's a very good question, almost funny. Is it true that Trump has gone bankrupt 4 times? How can we trust him with the country's finances? David has never gone bankrupt. All of his businesses, he has been an entrepreneur and run businesses, and in all of his businesses,
they've never been in the red.
Never went bankrupt.
I got to ask you, trade deals from Trump. This is the trade deal from Trump. He wants to levy a 30% tax or tariff on China. What's his reason? He doesn't really have one. We want to levy a 15% tax on any country that doesn't meet or comply with certain environmental and human rights standards. That's not a blanket 30% tariff, which would literally limit trade with a country that is essentially tied into our economy deeply. Now, I don't want to trigger a crisis in our nation's economy by pissing off China. And I would never act as reckless as Obama did by calling Vladimir Putin a jackass. So we have got a very loose-lipped person in Trump who doesn't seem to have restraint publicly, which is very bad for the presidency. I would urge all of you to start promoting a third party and not talking about Trump.
And so with the 15% tariff, the businesses, the real issue is to make sure that the products that are created that come into our country are created with high standards for the environment.
Right.
That if a business is going to, they should be able to create the item using the same standards as if they were that we have here in the United States, the same ecological standards.
Well, we're not even doing enough. I mean, the Clean Air Act of 1970 hasn't been revised. Hey there, CNN. The Clean Air Act of 1970 has not been revised at all. And we're still seeing smokestacks spewing sulfur dioxide and all kinds of pollutants into the air. And this has got to stop. But I can't penalize industry. That's not going to help. If I call Guido up and say, hey, Guido, you're going to have to stop dumping dioxin in the air. You know, those chemtrails are killing people. I'm going to penalize you, Guido. Guido's going to laugh at me. But if I call Guido up and say, Guido, you want a place to dump that stuff? We got it. We've got a receptacle with a burn center that recycles and loops all that carbon. So please, drop it off for free. Guido's going to say, hey, I got a good deal here. I'm going to drop the toxic waste off at this place here. You know, we just have to provide the solutions to get rid of the toxins. Right now, we don't have that in place. For the past 50 years, we've had over 2,000 Superfund cleanup sites in the country that have never even been addressed. You know, all I can tell you is a war hero is a person who is somebody who's fought for this nation and ended up captured by our enemy and survived that. Now, John McCain was offered, like I said, his dad was offering to buy him out of that POW camp, and he stayed in the POW camp because he wanted to be with his troops. He didn't want a favoritism, being, you know, the son of a general or a colonel or a commander. So, I mean, John McCain has illustrated his effort to control the budget, too. I mean, I respect the fiscal conservancy of John McCain. I really do. I don't like all of his politics, and I'm sure we differ on a lot of levels, but I do respect the fact that he's been trying to cut the budget on the USS Gerald Ford, which is a $500 billion budget, or $500 million budget that's turned into over $2.5 billion. We don't need to create some sort of a vessel dedicated to Gerald Ford, and it costs $2.5 billion. We don't need that. So I respect a lot of the work that John McCain's been trying to do, but I don't agree with him on a lot of politics. All right, say my name. I will say your name right now by banning you from the show. There you go. Nope, there's no evidence that he's squealed on anybody. And let me tell you something. John McCain isn't just a guy who's dedicated his life to politics and to helping, you know, obviously run for president and solve the problems in the country. I'm not in love with his politics. But to call a man who suffered so much not a war hero, which is what Trump did, and then to back out of it like a sneaky snake and claim he didn't do that? I mean, the whole thing is a disaster. And basically, Donald Trump has got foot and mouth disease, and it's not getting any better. It's getting worse. The fact is, conservatives have not been on the same page within their own party. The Tea Party movement, which we find out later down the road, was essentially created by the Koch brothers. Wasn't even a party at all. In fact, it splintered any third-party efforts we were doing. We're actually more fiscally conservative than the Tea Party in some areas. But I would never cut back farm subsidies. Let me give you an example of how we want to handle that. We want farmers who are paid not to grow things right now, to grow things. What a concept. And we take the product and process it with generic manufacturers and put it out on the market and sell it to people in the EBT program who will be required to buy that product. You won't be able to get Libby's. You'll have to buy generic peas or generic corn or generic eggs if you're on EBT. And what this does is it loops the capital that our government is spending right now on farm subsidies and on food stamps, all coming out of the USDA SNAP program and the USDA farm subsidy program. So I'm going to take capital and loop it and save about $50 billion on the American taxpayer just by basically cycling food back into the system and having people on food stamps buy that food. The Koch brothers, right? Well, Rand Paul is, I think, confused because he supports 30,000 drones over our head by 2020. I can't imagine even claiming to be a patriotic person and wanting drones everywhere. So I think Rand is a little confused. And when asked why, you know, should you run for politics, Rand in 2009 actually told people he wasn't interested in running. And then people said, hey, man, but your dad's a congressman, man. You know, use that power, man. So I think Rand is really in love with power. And I don't get the real feeling that he has the best interests of the American people at heart. Plus, I know the Democrats aren't going to be able to talk to Rand. I know I can talk to Democrats because I was a Democrat for 30 years. So I think we can remove the artificial separation between the Democratic Republican Party once I become president.
So with medical for our veterans, that's going to be a big deal going forward.
Alex, I'm not in the name in the running because you haven't helped me get there. Alex, do you believe that?
You can go to fec.gov and check David Sponheim, and you will see that David has filed to be a presidential candidate. And so, Alex, what we need you to do is we need you to start promoting David.
Yeah. I cannot fire him. I'm not here to make enemies of Republicans and Democrats. I really am not.
Now is the time for David John Sponheim.
I'm here to actually unite the country. And that's something that's going to be very difficult to do. Way harder than anyone realizes. If you're here to promote anybody like a socialist, like Bernie Sanders, I'm going to ban you. And the reason why I'm banning you, but I'm going to unban you now because I feel I should purge you instead. Let me give you a warning. Don't promote your candidate here.
Yes, the Koch family, correct.
The Cook family?
Koch. Like from the coking process, the coking process.
I'm going to call them the Koch family, if that's okay with you. Cause
well, I'm just letting you know.
In Germany, it's pronounced Koch. Are they Germanic in nature?
I know someone who spells their name like that, and she pronounces it Cook. And so, but I do know that those two brothers were involved in the refinery process, and the coking process was named after them.
Oh, okay. So basically, the coking process and the Koch brothers are pretty much the reasons why oil prices have always remained relatively high and why they continue to suppress new and low-cost energy solutions. So basically, the Koch brothers, who created the two parties, or the Tea Party, the Koch brothers who secretly fund certain candidates out there, like I believe the Wisconsin governor is receiving funding from them. The Koch brothers. Basically, they're trying to control politics with lots of money. That's wrong. So do you realize, folks, that these rich people are buying political favor and you're getting nothing? Wonder Woman. I had the wonderful opportunity of seeing Linda Carter in a car one day when I was driving in Santa Monica. And she turned over to me, the former Wonder Woman, Linda Carter. Mm-hmm. She turned to me and she said, or she didn't say anything. I saw her, lighten up a doobie. So I went like this. And she laughed. It was great. We connected. It was weird. Mind connect.
Good job, Jeff. Get to work.
You saw Amy
But don't
Carter.
work too hard. Have fun while you're working.
Thanks, Jeff. Good luck. And Jeff, I hope the microphone sounds better in the future. Well, that was somebody else. Somebody else was questioning the microphone earlier. I did adjust the volume so we're in better shape now. So if I scream, it won't blow. Yeah, I saw her lighten up a doobie in traffic, and she saw me do that, and she thought it was pretty funny. Okay.
So she is gorgeous in person as she was.
Oh God, yes, Linda Carter. Well, you're gorgeous too, but Linda Carter was always very beautiful. Linda Carter.
What about medical for homeless people?
She's still beautiful. What about, yeah.
You're going to be like Linda Carter.
Well, yeah, we can actually make that happen. Let's see. Let me do a facial adjustment. Well, you don't have to smile too much because that's not needed. Facial adjustment.
She does have a big smile.
She has a big smile. Let's see this. Oh, her face is a little bigger than yours. Let's see if I can shrink it down. You actually have to move a little bit over. No, this way. There you go. Kind of align yours. You're not really aligning.
I don't.
You see this picture over here? Okay, we're not getting. She's not. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, her face is a little bigger. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And let's talk about the news. Obviously, we haven't really talked about the Iran deal tonight in great length, but giving Iran a nuclear weapon in 1 year and 1 day is just inexcusable. And to give them $50 billion and not even put it in the contract, that's inexcusable.
Alex, another thing for my to-do list. Excuse me. Stop.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Ballotpedia doesn't have me listed. That's okay.
Well, that's because I can add to it. Anyway.
Now, Des Moines Register has called on Trump to drop out of the 2016 race. Iowa's largest newspaper has called on Donald Trump to drop out of the 2016 presidential race amid the furor of the real estate magnate's weekend comments about Senator John McCain's service during the Vietnam War. Well, if the UN Security Council approved the resolution, Phil, then it's got to be terrible. Remember when the UN Security Council approved the transfer of cash for oil to Saddam Hussein? You remember that? And it turned into a big scandal? Yeah, that's the UN Security Council playing manipulative side politics. The reality is the UN is not the force of unification that we've described in the past. In fact, one of the key groups that the UN has working for them at a roster level is an organization called the Lucis Trust Fund, which has a direct connection to a Luciferian society worshiping Lucifer. So you're not exactly dealing with above board people when you're working with the UN. They have a hidden agenda, and that's not something they were ever supposed to have. Now, when I expose the Lucis Trust Fund, when I become president, our country is going to separate quite a bit from our involvement with the UN. We're not going to back the Millennium Directive like Barack Obama did. He doubled the amount from $26 billion to $55 billion that our government has to pay the UN for no reason. I'm not going to do that. But we'll remain on the UN, but I'm not going to in any way endorse them financially because we've got other problems to deal with. It's called our country, America. And we need to start building American jobs and focusing our finances on getting people the kind of jobs that connect directly to business and products and services that are helpful. We can't possibly expect to jumpstart this economy by throwing money in any one direction like the Democrats have done. Kofi Annan, his son, was not hilarious. He committed a crime, and it's not funny what he did. My thoughts on Scott Walker is Scott Walker is in the back pocket of the Koch brothers. They own him. There's nothing more to say, and Scott Walker won't be able to work well with the Democrats. Big problem. We don't need another divisive president. We've had one with Barack Obama. We've got too much controversy going on where people can't find solutions, and it turns into a pissing match between a Democrat versus a Republican. This is not necessary. Well, the Lucis Trust Group has, this is all a part of a bigger plan, but the Lucis Trust organization actually has an item on their website, and I'll give you the link to it, on the esoteric meaning of Lucifer. So here it is. Hey, Tandaleo.
I actually have that one.
We have that link. We just got it in. We're going to be playing the ultimate hoax reveal of the Charleston, South Carolina fiasco tonight. Thank you. But let's take a quick look at this incredible problem here. These people actually draw their name originally from people that worship Lucifer. Now, these are roster level players that work on all the magazines and publications and booking dates for the UN. Got a lot of problems with people that are literally involved in Lucifer. The whole thing is just completely insane. It's upside down. Yeah, so you don't want to vote for Scott Walker because he's got a solid endorsement from the Koch brothers. They believe that Jesus and Lucifer are the same. I'm not kidding. They really do. So when you go to church to worship Jesus, they're actually going to worship the bright and shining light of Lucifer. And I'm not making this up. This is a fact that these people, these Luciferians, actually really have a hidden agenda, and it's not pretty. I know Lucifer was not Jesus. Believe me. But they really believe it. They really do. Businessmen cannot be trusted with our politics. They have proven time and time to seek only profit, not people, and not the betterment of people. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break and come back and address an issue that was brought to me by my sister, who sent me a letter talking about a Green Beret who believes that our troops are being demilitarized so that the Ukrainian troops that we're training over in Ukraine can come over to our country and take our nation over. I'll be talking about that when I return. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. So, yeah. So they do have us listed on there, but it's definitely, it's probably because of the ballot access issue, I would say, Bengalitis. So yes, we are listed on there, but under other. Let's see. I could also yeah. I probably need to go in there and update their article though. You you listened to some Christmas songs today? You're celebrating Christmas in July? I know that sometimes people do that. I think a lot of people are drawn to that individual just because of the money factor. There's a lot of people that are really greedy, and they kind of associate their own personal greed with that individual. Some people ask why, the question was, why are some people attracted to a particular candidate, not be other than David? Mr. Dork, you say, why did Sarah have a smaller chair? I feel more comfortable in this chair. It's more like I'm just sitting. I don't even usually sit back in the chair, so it's good. Yeah, whatever it takes to make you feel cooler. So you do Christmas music to make yourself feel like you're in the middle of winter even though it's July. No, I really, someone asked, am I attracted to other presidential candidates? No, I'm only attracted to David Sponheim. Thank you. Yes, finally, a straight answer from a politician, even though she's not elected yet, Sarah. I always try to give straight answers, or I decline to answer sometimes. That's cute. No, probably not faces. New details are emerging about the Chattanooga shooting gunman. Okay. USA and the U.S. and Cuba have opened embassies in each other's countries. So we now have an embassy for Cuba open here in the U.S. and in Cuba we now have a U.S. embassy. Well, Rubber Ducky, why don't you go and encourage that individual to work with David? Instead of coming in here and always encouraging David to work with that individual, why don't you go and tweet that individual, do whatever it takes to get them, and have him talk to him about David? Because obviously that individual doesn't need the attention, I think it would be easier. Yeah, Rubber Ducky, you have an interesting perspective, but like I said, you need to contact the other individual and get him to work with David. Is the deal good or bad, the fact that we're opening U.S. embassies with Cuba? I think it's a good thing that we have as many embassies worldwide as we can. A suspected Islamic State bomber killed 30 people in a Turkish town near the Syrian border. Bangladesh, Cuba is not another state. So we should not be changing our flag. And Puerto Rico has been able to vote repeatedly on whether they want to become a state or not, and they've chosen not to. Two barges have collided near the entrance to the Houston Ship Canal. There was a fire on board one of the barges that was carrying petroleum, and a vessel collided with another barge near the entrance to the Houston Ship Canal. Wow. The UN Security Council has unanimously approved the agreement with Iran, because this whole agreement is aimed at stopping Tehran, stopping Iran from getting nuclear weapons. I don't know the answer to that question, Mr. Dork. Obama is traveling to Kenya this week, just so you all know. That's interesting. You watched the UN speeches on C-SPAN recently? Good. No, we should not blow Puerto Rico off the map, Walton. Thank you, Truth to You. Good, interesting information. This was written in October 9, 2009, and it said, how does Trump repeatedly file for bankruptcy and still stay on top? Yes, businesses can fail, and he takes out tons of money for his businesses and then gets his salary from those businesses and then files bankruptcy for his businesses. Unbelievable. Yes, Trump seemingly, to me, it seems like Trump just runs on credit, not cash. So, former President George H.W. Bush was in the hospital and he has been released from the hospital. So exactly, Truth to You has been reading the article, summarizing it. Basically, Trump keeps all his finances separate. Well, we keep America's third party, obviously, all the finances for David's candidacy separate than our personal finances, but we're not taking out loans for David's candidacy. He broke a bone in his neck after falling last week. He had a fractured vertebra. Wow. He's the oldest living former president, and he was up in Kennebunkport, Maine. He wasn't disoriented, and the injury did not result in any neurological problems. Very good. Wow. The doctor said it was a significant injury, but he's in excellent shape and anticipated he'd make a full recovery. Very good. Good for him. Nice job, George H.W. George H.W. Bush had fallen and injured a bone. Good points. Allura makes a good point. If Trump is so rich, he should donate to the needy.
Yeah. That was quick.
Yeah. Oh, interesting, Walton.
All right.
Yeah, I guess so, Bengalitis. That's funny.
Okay. I'm going to bring in that story from Gmail.
Oh, a story from Gmail?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to just go over here to Gmail real quick.
Oh, okay.
All right. Wow. So we got a lot of people concerned about the country. Jade Helm turned out to be somewhat of a psyops. Wasn't that big of a deal, but it's still going on. It'll be going on all summer. Yeah, certain Americans, American military units are being, according to this former Green Berets commander, they're being disarmed. Certain American military units are being disarmed in preparation for a civil war. I'm going to take a look at an article here. This is from Before It's News. I don't always trust sites like this, so I'm still trying to vet this, but I'll give you the link anyway. Briefly want to talk about this.
Okay.
Okay. Certain American units, military units, are being disarmed in preparation for civil war. Okay.
Usually, this, I have to say, this comes from a site that
you don't trust at all.
I don't trust.
Okay. All right. He says he did not like using confidential sources without a strong degree of outside collaboration. However, the information contained in this report is so dire and so immediate, I do not feel it is prudent to sit in this information any longer. This article will be brief and to the point.
So,
okay.
Sponheim, hashtag Sponheim 2016. I haven't done a lot of work with Twitter yet.
Okay. John Moore, who's a former Green Beret, has a John Moore show, and he spoke on the phone.
Yes, legalize it. Hashtag legalize it.
Recently at Fort Bragg, a military officer was asked if he would fire on American soldiers if told to do so. This information is a little more specific because the firing will soon be made public. So I can be a little more detailed in the reporting. When this officer answered in the negative, he was promptly fired. The source for this information is John Moore. He knows the position of the person involved in much more detail that we can reveal at this point. Interesting. The picture and the one above it depict Russian soldiers at Fort Carson. Okay? See that? Russian soldiers. They did a joint soldier Russian-U.S. operation at Fort Carson. The Russians and other foreign troops are part of Jade Helm. German, Canadian, Danes. They are here to carry out the mission should American troops stand down. Okay, so there's concern among this person, John Moore, that these foreign troops are being trained to take over our country and to implement a martial law plan in the event a civil war occurs. This is not funny.
I'm going to
go ahead.
Say goodnight.
Oh, okay, great.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Sarah. So, appreciate the time. This has been great.
Good job.
Good job to you. Everyone loves your hair, and they love how beautiful you are, and you were a raving success today.
Thank you. Oh, and everybody loves how you look today. Everyone was commenting on how well that tie looks with that shirt.
Yeah.
It's really outstanding.
It's my dress in black on Conspiracy Monday night. Thank you. Excellent job, Sarah. That was great. You know, Sarah has her own audience that connects with her, and I think that's wonderful. A lot of you don't necessarily ascribe to extreme positions, and I think that's great. I don't necessarily either. I'm still trying to figure out what my position is when I have all the information in front of me. And I don't believe we have all the information in front of us. When I read a story about a guy who was a former Green Beret who actually is revealing information about our government now turning to UN and foreign military to implement a plan because we've got people in our country called Oath Keepers that won't ever fire on their own people, I get concerned. So yeah, you guys can read the article yourselves. Well, they may be off the wall. I'm just reading articles right now. I'm not verifying this is true or not. I cannot verify or validate the story. It goes on and on. In April 28, 2015, a published anonymous letter from a Texas Ranger who said they were bracing for attacks from ISIS, and the Judicial Watch revelations of an ISIS base camp near El Paso was indeed accurate. Well, I would say there would be an ISIS camp. If they're paid heavily, these mercenaries will go anywhere you tell them to go. The FBI announced it was investigating 56 possible ISIS-led terrorist events inside the U.S. Yeah, I would imagine they would be investigating them because the source might even be the CIA. The FBI doesn't get along with the DEA. The DEA doesn't get along with the FBI. The FBI and the CIA have jurisdiction issues all the time. And it goes on and on. The government is being run by the worst possible people. This is called a kakistocracy, a government run by the worst possible people. You want to get me a haircut, or you want to get my haircut? I was just outside, feeding the fish, and I have these fish that I've been raising, and they're about this big, like 6 inches. And I'm thinking maybe I might have to eat these fish someday, Apparently goldfish are edible. And fallout chemtrails. Another video we should play tonight. We'll play the one regarding the Charleston, South Carolina proof of crisis actors. But there's another one here, a 3-minute one on fallout chemtrails. So we'll look at that too. Goldfish are carp, I know. And they're very resilient fish if you want to raise them in a pond. They don't even, they'll grow anywhere. If you're looking for edible fish, yeah, just start raising goldfish. You can get the feeder fish at Walmart. I think they're like 10 cents a piece. I don't know if John Lennon's death was fake, Wolf Demons. I think John Lennon died. He was shot 7 times in the back. But I have a feeling that Mark David Chapman was part of the MK Ultra project. That's my suspicion. Lennon was basically on Richard Nixon's crap list. You want non sequiturs here? You got plenty of them. Yeah, we got lots of things to talk about. It can be very tangential. Climate modification engineering is proof. We're going to be looking at a 2-minute video. 100% non-debunkable chemtrails tonight. Well, I don't know. Tilapia and goldfish are different species of fish. Now you're claiming Mark David Chapman was a hitman hired by Yoko to get... Now could you show me the trail of evidence there? No, I never said I think John Lennon died. We know John Lennon died. But if I said that, I'm sorry. We know John Lennon died. Just good piece of chance. But if you believe he's still alive, that's more power to you. I mean, you could believe anything you want, I suppose. I mean, you can believe the crabs in your crotch area are alive too. Let's listen in.
You see, having gone through the Beatlemania thing, nowadays it's nothing like that. I mean, I can walk down the street and somebody will say, "Oh, hi, John," and they usually say, "How's your immigration?" If it's in New York, right?
Well, this is an interview he did on the Tomorrow Show, and it really, it's interesting. Right after the interview, he was killed, and it is kind of strange that he was lulled into coming back to America after his visa had been canceled by Richard Nixon and J. Edgar Hoover. And he was lulled back to coming to America by none other than Yoko Ono. Evidence is important to me, Ed. Of course the Holocaust happened. There's ample evidence the Holocaust happened. Tom Snyder of the Tomorrow Show. Yeah, that's right. Right. In 1975, he went into exile. In 1980, he died when he came out of exile. Yeah, so he should have been in exile. But that's not the real conspiracy theory. There are even more important and disturbing conspiracy theories out there regarding Paul McCartney. I'm not sure what you're saying, Bruce. I do believe that Paul actually did die November 9th, 1966. I have evidence right before my very eyes to suggest that the person we know as Paul McCartney today is actually not Paul McCartney. It's not a stretch for me to say that these two faces do not match. Heck, there's a lot of faces that don't match. But here's Paul McCartney when he was the no match Paul. Yeah. Let's go for another one. Hang on. He is actually Angela Lansbury. That's pretty funny. Okay, let's look at the face exactly. This is the melding of the two faces. Clearly there's something wrong, right? You're saying there's something wrong with the symmetry of his face, right? Yeah, that's because he's not the same guy. In 1966, after Paul died in a car accident, the contest was put out to find a really good impersonator. And a person by the name of William Campbell won the contest. He was from Louisiana, and he did an incredible voice dub impersonation that was nearly pitch perfect. The new Paul McCartney is more than likely 2 octaves higher in pitch, but spot on and incredibly talented. So when you look at people who've been replaced over time, you begin to wonder what's really going on. I mean, first of all, faces don't radically change. Now, there was a woman named Renee Zellweger who at one time was on Jay Leno, I think about 5 years ago, and she appeared very high. There was something wrong with her. That lady is closest to me right here. Renee was a wonderful entertainer, and somehow her nose decided to get a half an inch longer, her lips dropped, her eyebrow dropped significantly and went straight. One of her eyes had a lift of some sort. More importantly, her neckline changed dramatically. And she's 3 inches taller. So, exactly what's going on here? If she was high on Jay Leno's show, and say she was into cocaine, and say she wanted to spill the beans on the inner circle of the Illuminati and all the coke that's going on the side, and say she was eliminated, of course they'd want to come up with a way to cover the murder, right? So they create an imposter. So they do a character or facial recognition match. They found some Eastern European woman that kind of matched her and instantly gave her some lip injections, and now she's claiming to be Renee Zellweger, but she's 3 or 4 inches taller. There's no match here. These faces are not accurately matched. They're like 60% matches. But it goes on. It gets more and more disturbing. I mean, even the guy who's on trial right now, 3 years later after the Aurora, Colorado shooting, James Holmes, he doesn't match the face that he had prior, when he was a completely different person entirely. James Holmes originally was the top student in neuroscience at UC Riverside. He got a bachelor's in neuroscience, bachelor's of science. He was the top student. He's the guy farthest away from me. The guy closest to me is the guy on trial. Their faces don't match either. Now, somebody's paying his parents to sit there at the trial and pretend like it's him. But there's no way these two people are the same people. Their noses are different, their lips are different, the eyes are completely different. Yes, the hair color is different, but these are not the same people. The eyebrows are in a different place. So obviously there's imposters out there. It's crazy. I know there's imposters out there pretending to be people that they aren't even the same people. So tonight we're going to be featuring a a story about the crisis actors in the Charleston, South Carolina attack that allegedly killed 9 people, which many people are saying didn't happen. We're going to be doing this story, all Charleston crisis actors exposed in one video. This is a brand new video that's beginning to make some headway on the internet. We're going to see if there's any validity to it. I'm here. I'm right here in front of you. Now, if I suddenly disappeared and a paid actor was put in my place, and all of a sudden the show appeared on TV right now, and instead of me doing the show, David Caruso was doing the show, would you say that David Caruso was doing a great job? Yeah. It's like, wow, you're spot on, David. You're doing a good job. I mean, meanwhile, I'm dead and buried, and this guy is taking my place. I mean, would you buy that crap? Would you be okay with that? Yes, Phil, the president attended the funeral for the pastor because it's part of the entire machine. You don't just ignore the reality that 9 people at a church are killed by a white assassin, especially black people. Because there's a reason why the Democrats and the media is fomenting racial strife, because they don't want anyone to get along. So if you believe that I am David Caruso and I've had some facial recognition work done on me and facial art apparently my tenure, yeah. Miami Vice is Miami CSI Miami has been very good to me. I decided to do a show for free for 7 years. Yeah. I mean, you can believe anything you want. It doesn't really matter. You're saying I look like the short guy from Penn and Teller? That's absurd. I'm not Jewish. What's wrong with you? A 90s rock star. Yeah, what about Obama's gay lovers? Let's talk about those guys. It's all connected. You want to? I'd rather talk about Andrew Getty and his bleeding bowel movements. I don't believe me. There's no way I could be replaced. You can't replace my talent. Let's talk about why this young man of 30 something died. Was he like 40 or so? I think he was like 40 or. Why did this guy die from a bleeding bowel movement? When he had $2.3 billion? I'm in no way, believe me, I'm in no way anti-Semitic. That's right. You're saying I look like Penn and Teller. Okay. We can top that. So you're saying that I look like this guy. That's ridiculous. He never speaks. Well, I don't even know what he sounds like. He's never speaking. He's more like a silent character. So why would a guy with $2.3 billion not get a proctologist to examine his ass? Why did he bleed out? Does anybody want to know about that? You don't care, do you? Okay, let's talk about something else, like the drought in California. Devastation. Massive devastation. Welcome to California, the land of dirt. The desert. You think there's a reason why they're drying California out? I talked about it at the beginning of my show. And there is strong evidence that chemtrails are being used to create the drought in California. This is not something I'm making up. I came to this hypothesis independent from other people. And many people are, again, agreeing that this is really happening. They're trying to trigger a drought in California in order to justify global climate change, because they didn't have enough justification to freak the American people out enough to vote for some Democrat who they think is going to somehow fix it with a monopoly game they call cap and trade. Chemtrails are completely illogical, but they really are happening. And we have absolute proof here. Let's take a look at the fallout from this chemtrail. Wow, look at the chemtrails in the sky here. This is phenomenal. Fallout, March of 2015. Stuttgart. Major chemtrails. Wow, yeah, totally. There's a plan here. They're trying to geoengineer false climate change. This is fallout from the event. Usually silver nitrate is used to attract water, so they're dumping silver nitrate, aluminum, barium, strontium, selenium, and all these chemicals are a mix, a slew, that creates and alters the atmosphere when mixed with RF frequencies from electromagnetic waves. Look at the fallout from the chemtrails. You're looking at it close up right now. I know my metals, yeah. Well, if you're not sold on chemtrails, but you believe in Obama's gay lovers, hang in there. You'll learn about chemtrails real quick. We're breathing these things. They're poisoning us. Wake up. Help me get this third party off the ground. Let's stop this insanity. You haven't been sick in ages? Making you stronger. Wow. You're funny. You're funny too, with a name like Watsondoch. Nice fallout, huh? How'd you like that, huh? You want another little fallout, huh? Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to drink some nice hazelnut coffee and watch the chemtrail video with you guys. Whoa, we got a non-believer here. He says, humans can't control the weather. Ask any credible meteorologist. Wrong. I'm going to show you the back end of a plane here with nozzles designed with chemtrails. Yeah. I got all kinds of things. You got patches on clothing. Chemtrails ain't easy. Chemtrailing ain't easy. You got real live patches from actual Air Force guys that are doing this secretly for a shadow government. And you say, ask any credible person. Here's a plane retrofitted with canisters to deliver chemtrails above your head. You got flight test control data logging and telemetry multiplexing computers for massive aircraft real-time data. You got an OSHA spill kit to handle an accident on board. You got flight test engineered jump seats. You explain what this plane is, Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Hawk. Your opinion, how can I respect your opinion? It's predicated on absolute stupidity. Yeah. Have you ever heard of HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, which essentially was the offshoot of Nikola Tesla, a guy who developed technology to alter the atmosphere and do weather modifications? This is ancient technology. There's nothing fake about these pictures. You're just standing there in total denial. And that's not a river in Egypt. It's a psychological problem in your brain. They've got multiple ionosphere-controlled RF frequency electromagnetic setups that control and virtually link with those chemicals to create weather patterns. It's all about charged particles. We're not talking about blimps right now, Bruce. Focus. That's tomorrow night. That's Wednesday night. That's Thursday night. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm trying to bring you all kinds of information so you can make a credible decision, even though you're retarded. Ionosphere controlling, that's right. Controlling the ionosphere. I took college physics, Paul Light, when I was 16 years old. And I got an A. Yeah. Yep. All right, let's get back to the video. All right, snapshot. Okay, and then we have undeniable proof. So you're saying what this plane is spreading is somehow condensation? The chemtrails are being run by people who are trying to depopulate our planet. They want to spray things to weaken your immune system so that you'd end up dying of cancer. They don't want you to live. They want you to die. No, they're not. You're an imbecile if you think they're helping you. Your teacher's an imbecile. I know you don't have chemtrails like we got in the Northwest because they're trying to pull all the moisture up here. That's why they're dehydrating where you live. Yes, can I help you? Go ahead. Yes, Lawrence, what do you want to do? Well, we got a platform on our website, americasthirdparty.com. You can check it out. It's a... All right, well, if this was a real call, I'd answer the question, but it's so fake, it's not even worth playing. Some guy's actually trying to hide his voice, and he has no talent at all. I put it on speakerphone, but it was pathetic. It was like the Nazi pretending to be some rich guy. It wasn't even worthy of your ears. It wouldn't even deign your ears. So all this proof, undeniable proof, that chemtrails are happening, and you're still going, no, those are contrails. Those are contrails from the planes because it's cold air and it condensates when it hits the hot air. Actually, all turbines in most jets are designed to not have condensation. They have special burners. I would love to broadcast a call, but unfortunately I can't when it's coming from a guy with no talent trying to fake his voice. Yeah, vapor trails. Yeah, water vapor. Yeah. God, you're gone. You're so far gone, it's unbelievable. Yes, Heiner. Yeah, you better have talent now. Let me hear what you got. Go ahead. Hey, what's the question?
Hello, David. I'm calling in to talk to you about the chemtrails you were speaking about just currently.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
Go ahead. Okay, what chemical do you believe they're actually spraying in the atmosphere at this point in time?
Well,
besides the Agent Orange that's been proven to be found in bloodstreams.
Yep. Well, what they're spraying is I'm going to drop out because you got your radio in the background, but good question. Yeah, they're spraying a primary chemical, which is silver nitrate. And silver nitrate actually attracts water. The structure of the silver atoms themselves are configured in a way that bring water and attract water significantly. They're also spraying products like selenium and aluminum, which are byproducts of industrial waste. They're spraying barium, like the kind you get internally when you have a barium enema. Yeah, these nanoparticles too are possibly manufactured to deplete our immune system. We don't know. Joni Mitchell, the lady who suffered a stroke recently, who's recovering, she believes that she suffers a disease due to chemtrails called Morgellons disease. And Morgellons disease is indicative of a skin disorder which shows synthetic material protruding from our skin. Okay, we're not going to take any more calls tonight. It was you on the phone? Well, you're the Nazi. Why would you want to call here? What's your end game here? Nano, that's right, nano. Buzzword, nanotechnology. No, that's what they believe. Look under Morgellons disease. So you're denying that nanotechnology exists? When they've got the ability to embed a processor in a chip no bigger than the top of a pin of a needle and stick it in your brain, and you don't think nanoparticles exist? I would have to say you are uninformed. All right, we'll give you one more chance, and if that's the Nazi, I got to hang up on you. Go ahead. What's your question? Yeah, I don't believe that. So you're former governor of Alabama? Somebody told you you were former governor of Alabama. Have you been an official of any level in Alabama?
Nominee.
You're a knee. Okay. What's your question? Nominee. Okay. What's your question? Nominee of governor of Alabama. What's your question?
The chemtrails.
Yeah.
All the stuff that they pack in those things, all the silicones, and they go around and they're spreading things like Versace and Gucci and all of that stuff. I don't understand why they have to poison our youth with that.
They're trying to depopulate the earth. They don't need you. Look at the rich people have been exploiting humans to become rich. Now they have robots they can replace you with, so they don't need you anymore. So why would rich people keep you around?
Well, I think the rich people should just sit and spin on a red anthill.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that because they don't have a desire to spit on a red anthill. Basically, we the people have no power, and they have all the power.
They have so much money, and they can flaunt all this stuff, you know. And then it's people like us that are sitting here with only, you know, a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
And, like, they need to lick 18th century wallpaper off a wall, dude. Like, I hate that the way that the chemtrails are going over.
Me
Because
too.
all of the young kids are just going straight for it. And they think that they're the most influential.
Well,
because they're chemtrails. I don't understand that. The chemtrails are all over this world.
yeah, that's called weather modification, geoengineering, man. They're trying to engineer, and best of all, from their perspective, is not only can they create weather patterns, but they set up an entire website to track their activities. Here is the Rothschild, the head of the Rothschild family, one of them, who actually is talking about his use of chemtrails to create, or not chemtrails, but weather modification. Let's look at what he's doing.
The RMB situation, you mentioned Paul, I believe, in the last 24 hours, which has caused even people losing their lives, and situations like this. With the detail that we can put up through the technology that we give to the various weather stations, this makes people more aware of it. On the whole, it's a question of giving the opportunity. I mean, we have also launched an operation called My Weather, which gains access to the first truly personalized weather application for the web and mobile devices. You can go up on myweather.com.
Why would Evelyn de Rothschild come up with myweather.com? when we have weather.com already? What's the point? Because they want to track the exact position of their chemtrails and see how we can take our money. Now these people have $100 trillion. They make Bill Gates look like a pauper. He's got nothing. These people have so much money that they have fun controlling the weather and creating what is necessary to further their end game, which is to control water rights, tax you with carbon point taxation that Hillary Clinton supports. Oh yeah, that's why they want Hillary in charge, so that they can take over our country.
Screw Hillary. I'm sorry. Screw Hillary. She thinks just because her husband did it. I have nothing.
Good night, DT Laura.
I'm not misogynist in any way.
Good night.
But screw Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, well, I don't find her attractive enough to screw her, so I wouldn't cheat on Sarah. So yeah, there you have it. Well, I just tell you that the Evelyn Rothschild and the whole thing is clearly a plan to. Obviously, they've got so much money they don't even know what to do with it. So their goal is to just completely mess with you, and they don't really care about you.
You know what? Honestly, though, if I had as much money as they did, I wouldn't give a shit about anybody.
Well, I know, and that's exactly why I'm going to hang up on the caller. Because you don't really care about the people, do you? You don't really care about anyone, and you're like us. Greedy, ha ha ha. So you speak our language, young man. You've been thoroughly versed in the greed of our country. Yeah, anyway. You get my drift. And you get the drift coming out of the chemtrails, too.
They're chemtrails, weather modification people. There is no question about it. So
all right. All right, so we've got a lot of problems, one of which is guests cannot chat. I want to give you guys a chance to talk. So guest on. Let's see what you got. Bring it. We're going to get into that chat tonight about, we're going to talk about the Charleston, South Carolina shooting being a false flag run by crisis actors. Okay. Yes, go ahead. Are you a sociopath like most of the Rothschild family too? Well, you don't care about people. That's pretty obvious. You've been trained to think people don't matter. Well, what do you care about people? You don't seem to care about anybody but yourself.
I care about my son and I care about my family.
Okay, thank you. I take it back, and I'm sorry I said that you don't care about people. You care about your son, your family. You're like a lot of people, man. I understand. It's okay.
But I'm saying if I had all the money that the Rothschilds do, I wouldn't care about you or me. I would screw you over just to benefit me. I know it sounds crappy, but wouldn't you?
No, because I'm not a materialistic pig. But you apparently want more money, so you're going to appeal to that whole...
Hey, just because you're a knuckle-draggling troglodyte that probably still lives in his mom's...
Wow. My God. I don't think I've ever been called a knuckle-diving troglodyte. I didn't get the Gucci and Armani reference, yeah. Well, this has been special. Great call, yeah. One of the better ones. He got mad, yeah. When I called him out as being totally a materialistic pig, which is what he is, you know. It's like so many of these people, they aspire to being like the Rothschilds. So, of course, we've got the most corrupt people running the world. How did we ever not get to this point when all people care about really is cash? You know? It's kind of sad when you think about it. But ironically, what's happening is this cash is buying all the robotics they could ever want, controlling all kinds of technology, and the aggressive technology growth that's happening is unbelievable. So in a matter of time, we're going to be looking at the future of it. It'd be a cybernetic organism running the entire planet. Yeah. I'm human flesh of a metal exoskeleton. They call it rubber. Is that still you, or you want to talk to the robot now? Go ahead.
This is still me. You said I'm a materialistic pig, but dude, after I got back from the war, I have been homeless.
Okay.
You want to call me materialistic? Excuse me for maybe being a teeny bit materialistic.
I hear you.
But this country is fucking me over, so I would give the chance to fuck this country over.
Yeah. We are doing very well to train you in the military and turn you into a mindless, dribbling idiot who loves greed and money. Yeah, you are doing just what they planned on making you into an absolute number so they can control you with money. Yeah, they will give you all the money so you will do things for them. Yeah. Yeah, I doubt he fought for this country. Hey, the problem is technology is screaming ahead, and we have the political structure of a dead rat. We have about the group consciousness of a small amoeba. And we have about the enlightened spirituality of a garden variety lizard. I'm calling people out because a lot of you have been trained to be an absolute idiot. So you think that this is somehow good for our nation to be controlled by robots? This is the future? Yeah. Nice grill. Now, we're not going to take any calls from him. He was lying about his service to the country. Jeff Boston, sweet Jesus, David, you're slaying me here. Jeff, is that you calling? You believe him? Well, if everyone wants to just get rich and screw their neighbor over, how can I possibly build a coalition dedicated to the people of this country? Breaking news, Stolen Valor troll attacks ATP. Thank you. What is your work, Jeff? Are you a troll for the CIA or NSA? You know, I don't smoke pot on the show, okay? I have been known to vape oregano. Now, you know, you're going to have to say nice things about me or I will permanently remove you, mainstream media. David, are you genitally mutilated? Hawk, you're the guy that doesn't even believe in chemtrails. What do you care about genital mutilation? You don't even care what you're breathing. The fact is, 15 years of old knowledge of chemtrails are not new to the research. What? Wow. That's a mindless disinformation troll site you sent me to, Planet X. Okay, we're going to just drop out of the calls tonight. We do an extended show for all of you to share and talk about issues that may be pertinent to you regarding the future of this country. Many of you are so sidetracked with free porn and unlimited sports channels and probably all the Slurpees you can drink in one day that you're so fluoridated, which ends up lowering your IQ by 20 points, that it's hard to even understand what I just said. You're like, huh? What did you just say? All right, we're going to drop out of all calls. Thank you. Live oarfish delivers new warning to California. Now, we know about the Fukushima nightmare, but how rare are the giant oarfish that live off the coast of California? We're rare enough that the only time they're seen is when they wash ashore dead. Rare enough when their bodies are found on the beach is a cause for alarm. Yeah. These oarfish, by the way, live pretty low in the water. What's happening is a lot of fish are starving to death because the lower varieties, now you remember the food chain, they taught you this in school, in elementary school. Well, the low levels on the food chain, like the smelt and the meat, the little plankton, are all dying from Fukushima radiation. And now these live oarfish delivering a new warning to California. A live oarfish was caught by a rod and reel fisherman for the first time to anyone's knowledge near Catalina Island. Yeah. Ooh, they live very low in the water, and you know, without food, they're going to come up to the top and die. That's what happens. It's not Darwinism. Not when rich people are purposely poisoning the planet. Now, there are people that believe that Fukushima was created literally with HAARP. Well, Slurpees are not equaling fluoride. Slurpees use tap water. They're unwittingly using tap water at the 7-Elevens. So when you drink your Slurpee, you're drinking tap water, which has 4 parts per million. Connie's doing great. Thank you for asking. I've been behaving myself. So when people are drinking tap water and sodas or juices or sugar drinks or beer, you're getting fluoridated. And recent studies by the Harvard Medical Review in 2012 shows that fluoride reduces your IQ and your children's IQ. There you go. So if you're having a hard time understanding what I'm saying, it's because you are drinking a lot of, fluoridated water. So the first thing I want you to do this week is start filtering your water and not drinking any sodas or beers, focusing on pure juice drinks and filtered water, and do not in any way just go to a tap water and drink it straight out of the tap. And then come back to the show and I'll prove it. Your IQ will go up next week. I'm just telling you. You think you're not functioning right now? You'll be a lot smarter next week, I assure you. Well, I don't use fluoride in my personal life unless I absolutely have to and I've got a bad tooth. You see, I'm like you. I'm one of those people that still believe that fluoride stops cavities. I'm serious. That's why when I do brush with fluoride and I may think of cavities coming on, I rinse my mouth out 3 or 4 times with fresh water. I would recommend you do the same. I'm glad your city has fluoride-free water. Do you live in Des Moines, Iowa? Ashley, you're sex crazed. You have no idea what you're saying. Surely there's a place on the line you can actually hang out and talk to people. This isn't the best venue for you. Santa Barbara doesn't fluoridate. Really? That's because they don't have much water. And they use a filter system. They're opening up a brand new desalination plant. Okay, that's good. I'm glad they don't. Santa Barbara, California has a site dedicated to fluoride. Question. Question. Santa Barbara. Check this out. You're absolutely right. I'm glad they finally woke up to this reality. This is from a City of Santa Barbara frequently asked questions. And it says right here, right now, does our water have fluoride added? No. The city does not add fluoride to our drinking water and has no future plans to start. Thank you. Cool. Well, you're in a good city. I'm not part of the 12th Man, no. That's an organization dedicated to stupidity at the highest levels. The 12th Man group endorsed a coach, the oldest coach in the NFL, while he made the worst possible decision with 30 seconds left in the Super Bowl and less than a half a yard to go. He directs his team to throw the ball when he had one of the best runners in the NFL. With $1 billion riding on the outcome of that game, my first suspicion is the coach of the Seattle Seahawks is either being pressured or intimidated or is receiving money for his decision, the worst decision in NFL history. And what's really strange is he still has a job. Yes, we do have chemtrails, though, and they do disclose it. Online website is cloud seeding. Yeah, so people have to understand the chemtrail thing is out in the open, guess 174. Yes, industrial fluoride is the waste product for manufacturing of aluminum alloys. And they've been introducing fluoride in our atmosphere and in our water supply, and anything else they can stick it, for years. Because they really don't know what to do with all this industrial waste, and frankly, it does lower your IQ. So, hey, it's a win-win for the intelligent people running our country who want to keep you stupid so that you don't know that they're going to kill you. They're just waiting for the time and the position of the troops necessary to eliminate you. Do any of you people know about the Holocaust? And what happened in Germany when 12 million ethnic minorities were rounded up and sent to concentration camps? Jeff Boston, I can't get back on mainstream media. They won't allow me in the radio industry anymore. I'm being censored everywhere I go. Believe me, I excelled already in radio, and I was shot down by various people who were very jealous of my abilities. I'm not protecting anyone. I'm not avoiding your question. Deflategate. But yeah, they don't want a person like me in the media. You know that. The oldest coach in the league, yeah, the Seattle Seahawks coach, Pete Carroll. Right. I don't think there's anybody older who's coaching a team right now. But you still defend his argument that it's okay to put the ball in the air with first down, less than a yard to go, 30 seconds left, and you're going to win the Super Bowl, and you decide to throw the ball? That is a travesty. It is. Oh, believe me, that's why I left Hollywood. My trajectory was stellar. And then they told me, David, you got to snort Coke. You're going to have to snort Coke. They stuck Coke in front of me. They said, you got to buy a gram of Coke or we're firing you. I said, no, I don't do Coke. You're fired. You're fired. Really? Tom Coughlin is the oldest coach in the NFL, really? Really? Well, then I stand corrected. How old is Pete Carroll? All right. Well, I can be wrong on occasion. I don't mind. I was told he was the oldest coach. I was wrong. Okay? Is that all right? He's 63. Okay, no problem. I stand corrected. I'm wrong. Yes, I left Hollywood for a good reason. Thank you. Well, being he's one of the oldest coaches in the NFL, he made the worst possible decision in NFL history. It's coaching 101 to not throw the ball when you're that close to the end zone, especially in the last few seconds of the Super Bowl. What is wrong with you? You're defending an absolute idiot coach who literally destroyed their possibility of winning. He needs to be fired. So if you want to know if I'm part of the 12th man, no, I'm not part of the bunch of idiots that don't even understand the sport. I don't care if he was an awesome USC coach. Doesn't matter to me. With 3 downs to go, he decides to put the ball in the air. This is a conspiracy. This is the mob somehow convincing him to do the wrong thing to fix the vote so that the mob wins. It's $1 billion betting opportunity. You're going to tell me that it's not rigged? Are you an absolute idiot? Thank you. It looks like he was paid to take a dive. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like cheaters. It doesn't make me feel good. Sports are a distraction to keep the weak-minded absorbed. Good point. Thank you, Guest 719. Guest 429 said it too. Everybody's saying it. All right. Move on. Sports talk is degrading, and you may not vote for you if this continues. I agree. All right. Thank you so much. Well, I've really enjoyed the extended show here, and at least you're getting a chance to talk to me one-on-one, unlike every other candidate out there that can't talk about things without reading off a script. Or when they're not reading off a script, it's a recorded broadcast from memory. Thank you, Bruce. I'm not leaving. No. I'm just fed up with cheaters. One thing about me is I'm not a cheater, I'm not a liar, and I'm certainly not a thief. And this country's situation is so dire that you need an honest person to run for president right now. Believe me, if you had honest people running this government right now, I would sit back and go, wow, I'm just so glad that we've got good people running our country. But we've got the most scummy, worst possible people running this country, and their primary goal is to get reelected and pad their pocket. And you're wondering why things aren't working with the two parties. They're cheating. They cheated in my local election. They stole my signs, 90% of my signs. They're willing to cheat to win. This is not the group you want to help save this nation. Trust me, folks. We're being deceived in the worst possible way. They won't even allow me to talk on TV. They shut me off. You say, oh, I could do a great radio show. I've done great radio shows, and they're purposely shut off the air. They can't handle the truth. Look, welfare claimants are not going to have gun rights taken away from them under my book. No one's going to stop gun rights from happening under my leadership. I will never implement gun control in this country, period. Not going to happen. It goes against the Constitution. Thank you. I will keep trying. You know, frankly, there are people eating fresh food for free. There are people smoking more dope. And there are people playing video games in a souped-up chair. And politicians are not normal. So your whole argument goes right out the door. I've always asked why they would refuse my presence or input. I worked for one of the most corrupt radio personalities in history. I didn't even know it when I took on the job. I actually worked as a newscaster and news director, and I found out that the owner of the radio station I worked at was indicted many years ago for payola swindling in the radio industry. And I confronted those people when they said that we had to go to a training session, and I was making most of the money at the radio station, for the radio station, as a salesperson. In fact, I was making all the money for the radio station as a salesperson. And he said to me, he said, "You're going to have to go to training, David." And I said, "Really? Well, why is that?" "Because I'm a radio icon, and you're nothing. And I'm going to teach you how to make some serious cash." And I said, "Okay, well, as long as you're paying for the training session, that'd be great." "We're not going to pay you for the training session." It's like W.C. Fields, yeah. "And wine for the chicken egg." And he thought he was the biggest radio personality in history. I'm not going to name his name. But I can tell you that we got to the training session, which he happened to have in a room that he borrowed from a hotel when he claimed that he was going to run advertisements for the hotel, right? Which is another scam. And I'm sitting there going, okay, so what are you paying us for the training session? "Oh, I'm not paying you anything." Well, then you're going to be facing a Class C felony. Labor and Industry will be informed tomorrow that you're not paying your trainees. "What do you mean?" I said, "You're in violation of certain section of the Code of Labor and Industries." He said, "Radio guy." He said, "Oh," and he turned to his brother, he said, "See, this is what I get. This is what I deserve. After the indictment, payola, I get this guy questioning my tactics." And I'm going, dude, you can't just train people and not pay them. And he said, "Well, I don't have to listen to your crap either." I said, "Well, you got one thing coming out of your mouth right now, and that's you're fired. That's the only thing you can do. Now go ahead and fire your top earner right now, Mr. Smarty Pants Greedmonger." And he just quieted down, and I made him more money until he finally closed down the business like he did with every other radio station and peeled away whatever money he could get and went on to the next one. So I can tell you that I have been completely violated by the worst radio station owner in world history. And when I put his name on my resume and tried to look for jobs in the area, I got no responses because they all know what he was up to. I don't see how an F-35 was seen recently firing a cannon that they can't fire unless it was in manual mode. The machine gun on the F-35 will not be operational till 2019, G. Gordon Liddy. The software hasn't been developed. So unless they're triggering it manually, they really can't fire it. Wow. I got a lot of morons in the room, and I'm going to start banning just one of them in particular. Yeah, he was a scumbag. The guy, I never liked the guy, and I can tell you that his entire legacy in history will go down as being a scumbag. Hey, good show. Thank you, Bruce. Well, we got a lot of things to process tonight. And one of the things that is really disturbing is the fact that we've seen false flags like Sandy Hook. We've seen all kinds of false flags. I mean, you could even say every one of these mass murderers have been either trained by MK Ultra or possibly handpicked by a bunch of cronies in the government. I don't know. But I can tell you that without bodies, you don't have a trail of evidence. And without a trail of evidence, you don't have a crime. And the FBI neglected to mention that there were any murders in Newtown, Connecticut when Sandy Hook happened. They have a website that has the FBI specifics, and there's no murderers listed. No actual people dead. When the state of Connecticut made it illegal to look into and investigate murders and pull up crime reports, something was not quite right. Then it took 11 months for the state of Connecticut Police and Justice Department in Connecticut to release a crime report on Sandy Hook. And in it, and I went through every single bit of evidence, there's not one stitch of blood evidence in the Sandy Hook Elementary School. There's a little bit of blood droppings, like a paintbrush dropped blood outside of it, but that's the only blood evidence you've seen in any of the evidence that's been presented. Totally corrupticate. Exactly, corrupticate. You stand corrected. Thank you, G. Gordon, for recognizing that. All right, this is the deal. The recent crash of the airline Airbus into the French Alps. You remember hearing about how it was the result of a captain being locked out of the cockpit, and that went viral within an hour of the crash, that somehow they went ahead and got the information. Even though it was a remote air crash in the middle of the Alps, they somehow within 1 hour grabbed the flight recorder, which the NTSB takes 30 days to locate and to deliver information on. Within 1 hour, they announced that it's the captain locked out of the flight pit. I don't know, El Chapo. I don't know. People just dislike the messenger. I'm just the messenger. Well, because I don't think money should buy politics. That's why. You haven't made a donation to me, so, I'm not trying to push for donations. But if you can't even put $5 behind this campaign, what makes you think you're ever going to get anyone to stand up for you? Please don't say bad words about black people. I would really, really highly remove that. Yeah, we don't say racial slurs here. I'm not a racist. I'm not like your president, and he uses the N-word in a podcast. I would never do that. We do take Bitcoin. If you go to our donation page, you can make a Bitcoin donation. If you want to click on it, feel free. I don't afford to rent a billboard, dude. I mean, come on, man. You know they're $500 a month? Yes, all lives matter. Except for the ones of heinous criminals who have been murderers. They need to be snuffed out by the capital punishment. The ones we know for sure with DNA evidence. Hawk, could you be a little bit more irrelevant? I don't think I could get anybody on the show. It's too difficult to wade through hours of trolls to get a legitimate caller. If you're a legitimate caller, you'll have a chance to call in tomorrow. Okay? I'm not going to sponsor the Seahawks. The team is not even worth sponsoring at this point. It's the joke that the coach even is on the team. He should have been fired immediately. If they really want to win a Super Bowl, they need to get rid of that guy. He's not capable of making decisions. You can't win a football game, when you make a football 101 mistake like that. You're off to bed? Okay. Take care, Hawk. All right, yeah. Blog Talk Radio. We'll look at... I'm starting my own Blog Talk Radio show coming up. We're going to be doing another one. We have over 200 shows in the archive. You can see it at americasthirdparty.com. click on the radio icon and you'll listen to my radio shows. I've interviewed Jacques Fresco, an amazing guy who's going to be 100 years old coming up March 13th. I'm going to send him a birthday card. You can all start your own show, yeah. No one ever puts the ball in the air, ever, when you're 1 yard or less away from the end zone. Anybody who does that doesn't deserve to be a coach on any team, period. End of story. Well, I can't wait to be a guest on your show, except you aren't even doing a show yet, so. Our phone number, Agent 41, is 707-YOUR-ATP. Bookmark it. Tomorrow night we'll be talking. Tomorrow is Truth Tuesday, in which we discuss things that are true. Like the truth behind how engines and carburetors, over the years, over hundreds, if not thousands of inventors have created 200 mile per gallon engines. And all of them have been shunned, murdered, or their patents have been bought up and suppressed. That's something that's very true. And we're going to show you all the truth about that. No, unfortunately, you're the Nazi and I'm going to remove you. I know exactly who you are. We need to get more people to speak out against Obama and Hillary Clinton. You know, you guys do the work. Set up an appointment for me to do an interview on a show. Give me a week's notice and I'll do the interview. If you want to go to our website, we even give you a list of radio stations you can contact. At americasthirdparty.com, we have a way to get involved. If you go to our site, you'll see it. You can even take the shortened version right here. This is the tablet version. And select a menu item. Go anywhere you want. You could volunteer. Call Talk Radio. It's right here. And they'll give you a list of talk radio shows across the country that you can contact to get me an interview. Tell them I've been a candidate for the past 2 elections, going on a 3rd election, and I'm getting a lot of people interested in what I'm doing on the internet, and we're forming a centrist party. David, why do you mock me? I'm not mocking you, I'm just doing your voice. It's called imitation. Yeah, great, yeah, that's cool. Most of all, I want all of you to start thinking about your survival. Stock up on food. Do whatever you can to prepare your cupboards for stocked up supplies to last you 6 weeks. That's right, the biggest form of flattery. I don't think putting 50 million people around D.C. is going to change things, frankly. Number one, they're all going to go broke driving to D.C. They're all going to get arrested for not having a public license for assembly. There's going to be massive deaths, and I don't want anyone to get hurt. So I'm asking all of you to participate in an online revolution where all you do is talk about a third party to other people and mention our websites. Twitter account. I mean, this isn't that big of a deal, man. Good luck with that, yeah. Tell that to all the people that died in India with the salt wars. But no, seriously, if you really want to do something significant, just start talking about a third party. Really. A Deva-palooza? Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. No, the Blueberry Ale is designed to finance the Hefeweizen I want to create at the White House will be designed to finance the White House so that it won't rely on you. Whatever. 2,000, 200, whatever. You know, Caitlyn Jenner is just a distraction. It's keeping your mind busy. It's like bread and circuses. It's all put out there. Yeah, so a Blueberry Hefeweizen produced at the White House brewery, which Barack Obama spent your tax dollars to create, would be something I think would help finance the government. Now, this is how I differ with Barack Obama. I would never just make beer for my own personal edification. I don't drink except maybe on occasion with a friend, but maybe one beer or two, if I have a friend. But Barack Obama is brewing it all the time for his own edification.
We are in the White House kitchen, and we are very excited because we are brewing our second round of White House beer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is a extremely ridiculous waste of money. But if I'm going to be there, I'm going to make sure we make money, so we'll produce a 6-pack that's a collector's edition. And we'll make it so that we can actually ship it to people. Look, nobody's going to confiscate any guns under my watch, all right? Just get me elected and we won't have to worry about this, all right? I mean, you have no idea. You've never had a strong leader, have you? Well, bread and circus, Jeff, is what the elitists and monarchs used to control the people. They give people like cheap bread and provide a little circus to keep them entertained. And then they think the king is doing great. We've got pictures of the Obama scar, but it really doesn't matter. Whether the president is some sort of a... Well, yeah, we'll talk about that Obama scar on his head tomorrow night. Because I really don't have any more time to broadcast. I've got to go relax now. But this has been a great conversation. I'm going to bring you a video that will give you more enlightenment. Hopefully. I've got a video, I have not seen this, about Charleston, South Carolina. I'm anxious to see it. So we've got a 51-minute video to find out what really happened and why this supposed killing of 9 black people by a white guy may very well have been an elaborate scam or a false flag to trigger gun control again. Why were your guns taken? Did you commit a felony or something? All right. No, Barack Obama did not have a scar from domestic violence. Look, at anybody who has their head ripped open has had neurosurgery. Now, if you can explain why Barack Obama has had neurosurgery, I would love to know what the answer to that question is. But this scar has been noted many times on camera, live video. It's not some sort of an elaborate scam to create, Photoshop images of his head. It's a very, very revealing inside look at what may very well be happening in the country, and we'll talk about this tomorrow. A trend towards transhumanism. Now, you've heard of transgenderism, right? Well, they want you to talk about transgenderism because they don't want you to talk about transhumanism. The last thing they want you to think about is the truth. They really don't want anyone to actually think about the truth. And I'm going to leave you with that thought. The reality is, they really don't care about you. And ultimately, this is going to come down to the American people just saying, hey, wait a second, we don't want you people leading us because you don't care about us. It's going to come down to that. You got a Congress that's literally playing solitaire instead of actually addressing the issues. This is what Congress does in their spare time. They play spider solitaire. Okay. I'm already drifting over my time period. And it's disturbing because I really need to end this show. What you need to worry about is, you don't have to worry about ISIS. This is something that's ridiculous. It's a completely confabulated CIA plan to create this fear of terror, to justify more war. Thank you very much, Bruce. Thanks for your approval. You've been chopped. I'm on extra overtime. I rarely ever get to this point in life. Later tonight, we'll be playing you a really good video on Paul McCartney called The Winged Beetle. We'll play that after the Charleston crisis actors exposed in one video. Tomorrow night we'll address some of the issues you may have about aliens, the possibility of an alien attack or invasion, or maybe contact. We'll bring up a discussion about C. SETI, Stephen Greer, and the work that he's trying to do to reach out to alien cultures and being ignored by the government. We'll see if that's real. I know. Alrighty, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the truth that we're finding out about Jade Helm, what's really up, what's really not up, why the government's training Europeans to come into our country. We'll discuss that more. Why they want to use UN forces to overtake our own forces that are oath keepers, that will never ever harm their own people. I don't have any two-pack videos. I wish America had a third party too. That's why I'm working on it. But, you know, it's a life pursuit. Okay, I think we've got everything going on here. Oh, I didn't mention to you that, yeah, regarding the flight that crashed into the Alps, I wanted to complete that sentence. It is actually not corroborated with any audio evidence. The governments of Europe, France, Interpol have yet to release the audio file that they claim shows that the captain is locked out of the cockpit. And to make matters worse, we found out later that the cockpit actually has 2 keys that the captain knows all about, positioned inside the cabin secretly, that he could have used to open the cockpit. So the whole story appears to be a massive cover-up of a crash that occurred at the same time that the CERN reactor, 120 miles away, was having a magnetic failure. Okay? So this is a classic cover-up and possible conspiracy. Because we have not seen any actual photographs of that, or any audio verification of that tape, we're still waiting, okay? All of you are still looking for pictures of a pregnant Michelle Obama. I am not bagface. But one thing is true, Bill Hicks is Alex Jones. That much is true. We know that that's a fact now. Because he said it so himself. I mean, he actually said flat out that he was Alex Jones. And Bill Hicks is Alex Jones is Bill Hicks, yeah. So we don't have to expand on that. Obviously, you got people all over the place trying to, you know, warp messages like Alex Jones. But this is him saying he is Alex Jones.
Yes, I am Bill Hicks. But to be more accurate, you didn't get it all, did you? You didn't get the full conspiracy.
No, we never did. Because we were too mesmerized by your BS. That's right. All right, I think we're done here. Let's go to the Charleston crisis actors exposed in one video, and we'll see you tomorrow night. And I got to ask all of you an important question that many people haven't quite asked, except for one person who really doesn't ask any questions and has no email trace of anything she's ever done.
What difference at this point does it make?
Good question. What difference at this point does it make? Well, if the people of America don't wake up to the New World Order and the control the two parties have over its country, over their country, we're all screwed. If we don't correct this problem right now, we are literally going to be facing the aftermath, and it's not pretty. So here's the Charleston crisis actors exposed in one video. Thank you for coming in, everybody. Good night. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 to 9 Pacific for Truth Tuesday. Well, let's be clear.
How sweet the sound as a wreath like me.